Chapter 541. Heaven Realm, Ancient Battlefield Ruins. This was a desolate life forbidden zone. Within 1,000 miles there were almost no living beings. Although tens of thousands of years had passed, the space crack created by the legendary gods in ancient times still couldn't be healed. The shocking sky was split in half by an incredible power. Two completely different types of power kept colliding in silence. Occasionally, they would trigger purplish-blue lightning that streaked across the sky and landed on the ground. Most of the ground was the terrifying form of solidified volcanic lava. Since ancient times, no plants could survive here. Here, most of the area was plains. There was no volcanic crater. The reason why the ground melted was because of the intense burning of fire energy. Other than the legendary gods, no one could burn the ground within 1,000 miles into a magma-like liquid. If one looked into the distance, they could see deep craters that looked like meteors crashing into each other. Those huge craters were also the result of the collision of the gods' powers. Within 1,000 miles of the ancient battlefield ruins, the only miracle was the ancient god statue erected in the center of the ancient battlefield ruins. A gigantic headless god statue that was 200 meters tall sat in the middle of all the other statues. At the moment, no one knew which god this god statue represented. However, from the position it sat in, people could tell that its status was extremely high. They guessed that it was the legendary Lord of Gods. On the left and right of this headless god statue, there were more than 10 god statues with broken limbs and broken bodies. They were similar to the headless god statue. Although they were still standing, all the god statues were broken and no longer looked the same. The 10 god statues were divided into two camps. Vaguely, they looked at the opposite camp with hostility. Even the most knowledgeable person couldn't recognize all of these god statues. However, almost all the warriors in the heaven realm recognized one of the gods. That was the god of judgment. No one could confirm that the god of judgment really existed, including the disciples of the central palace who worshipped the god of judgment. They weren't very clear about the god of judgment's past. They had only vaguely heard that the god of judgment was a powerful god who had saved the heaven realm. Back then, he had suggested that the 4 lower realms should fight an ancient war in the death arena. On the left of the two camps was a blindfolded god with a broken left hand and a huge golden scale in his right hand. He was the god of judgment. Beneath his feet was the square divine tablet that had started the ancient war. Whoosh! A beam of light rose from the war altar in front of the 4-sided divine steel. It soared into the sky, and when it reached the highest point, it fell down like fireworks. Landing on the ground, Song Yen, the ancient slaughterer beast king, and the 4 ancient slaughterer commanders appeared in a flash. As the ancient slaughterer beast king and the 4 commanders were too big, they could not stop their momentum in time. They directly knocked away hundreds of ancient slaughterers that were standing on the war altar, waiting to enter the death arena, causing a commotion. Seeing the return of the ancient slaughterer beast king, all the ancient slaughterers roared in excitement. They thought that they had won and were cheering for the return of the beast king. Are there no capable people in the soaring dragon continent? Song Yen, this trip must have been very disappointing. A middle-aged man who was also wearing a purple and gold cloak appeared in front of the 4-sided divine monument, surrounded by blue ripples. His pale green skin was different from that of an ordinary person. His handsome appearance was similar to a human's, but he had a pair of special eyes. His golden pupils were enlarged like a cat's, revealing a kind of hidden cruelty. With strong confidence, the golden-eyed middle-aged man said to Song Yen in a mocking tone, "The soaring dragon continent has already fallen. 6,000 years ago, the prison emperor fell for the trap and fought with the 3 great leaders of the Western Heaven Realm. Countless of his subordinates died. Almost all the ancient inheritances were lost. It was impossible for any elites to be born. Just by looking at the fact that no one from the soaring dragon continent was able to step into the heaven realm for the past 6,000 years, it was obvious that there was no need to start the ancient war. Hey Hu, take a look at the number of people who returned first. A man with a purple gold cloak who looked transparent snorted, "Arrogance is sometimes a synonym for stupidity." What happened? The golden-eyed, green-skinned, middle-aged man frowned when he heard this. An elder innate rancor appeared in the soaring dragon continent. She might have the help of a divine equipment and killed more than 10 ancient slaughterers. However, other than her, the others will definitely die, including the boy who claimed to be the new prison emperor. Song Yan's tone was a little unhappy. He really didn't want his companions to see his embarrassing appearance after his failure. Even you couldn't kill her? The golden-eyed He Hu was stunned. Song Yan refused to answer this question. The outer palace opened the ancient battlefield without permission and even forcefully interfered with the battles of the 4 lower realms. In the end, more than 100 ancient slaughterers died. I will definitely report this to the Temple Emperor. The transparent man did not wait for Song Yan to explain. He stretched out his hand and flicked his cloak. A light breeze blew and in an instant the man disappeared without a trace. His speed was so fast and his technique was so exquisite that even Song Yan and the golden-eyed He Hu, who were at the same level, couldn't see through his special technique. Song Yan remained silent. The inner palace has already declined. The golden-eyed He Hu snorted angrily. The central palace has 4 palace masters: wind, fire, water, and earth. We, the outer palace, occupy 3 other palaces other than the Wind Palace. Out of the 8 great elders, the outer palace is ranked 6. We have overwhelming power. If it wasn't for the Temple Emperor, the incompetent people of the inner palace would have been kicked out of the central palace long ago. Shi Feng is indeed very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. Song Yan said with a hint of discord. Hey Hu, maybe we can cooperate at a suitable time. Cooperate with you? Smart Song Yan, I need to consider. The golden-eyed He Hu remained cautious. One day, you will come to me. Song Yan seemed to have a card up his sleeve. He slowly descended in front of the 4-sided divine steel and prepared to pick up the star of arbitration that represented the central palace's arbitration. The dazzling star of arbitration was taken from the golden scale of the god of arbitration's statue. There were a total of 2. Usually, when the central palace took one, the golden scale would tilt to the right. When the ancient battlefield opened, the central palace would place the star of arbitration on the 4-sided divine steel. When this divine equipment was placed on the 4-sided divine steel, it would open the war altar in front, allowing the Heaven Realm warriors to enter the death arena as the 6th arbiters. Once the star of arbitration was picked up, it meant that the passage to the death arena was closed. The Heaven Realm warriors would not be able to open it for at least 1,000 years. Song Yan prayed softly and slowly drew the heaven rune that represented the arbiter. However, the star of arbitration did not move at all. It did not follow the arbiter's will and flew out on its own like before. The golden-eyed He Hu was preparing to leave. When he looked back, he frowned and said unhappily, Song Yan, you can't even move a star of arbitration? Acting like this, are you trying to use the star of arbitration when I'm not around? I don't want to warn you again. Song Yan, a divine equipment like the star of arbitration is not something to be trifled with. If the 3 palace masters knew about it, they would definitely not mind changing an elder. As for if His Majesty Temple knew about it, even if his body was smashed to pieces, he would not be able to offset the severe punishment. Song Yan did not reply. He only prayed again and drew the heaven rune. The star of arbitration was still motionless. It was completely embedded on the 4-sided divine steel, becoming one with it. Seeing that Song Yan did not seem to be joking with him, He Hu hurried forward and stretched out both of his hands. He prayed together with Song Yan solemnly. Then, he drew the heaven rune and prepared to receive the star of arbitration. The star of arbitration did not respond. This time, Song Yen and He Hu realized that something was wrong. Sweat appeared on their foreheads. They did not know where the problem was. What's going on? After the arbitration, the star of arbitration should return. This is impossible. He Hu stared at Song Yen. What exactly happened in the death arena? What did you do? I didn't do anything. Song Yen was extremely gloomy. He really did not do anything. Why did the star of arbitration not listen to his summons? Why didn't you ask me? If you are illiterate, you should admit it honestly. Don't pretend to understand when you don't. Suddenly, Yu Yang appeared in front of the four-sided divine stele and pointed at the inscriptions on the four-sided divine stele. Acting like a teacher, he explained, "You guys should have seen the ancient runes on the stele. Do you know what is written on it? It says that the ancient war has not officially ended, so the arbiters cannot leave their post. Looking at your expressions, could it be that what I said was too profound? Then you two illiterates listen carefully. Although you escaped from the death arena, the real battle is still ongoing. We are still chasing after you and have not given up. The ancient law has determined that the ancient war is still ongoing. It's not that you can't be a coward, but you have to at least ask for our permission. Do you understand now?" "It's you?" When Song Yen saw Yu Yang, his eyes popped out like a normal person seeing a ghost. Who is this little ant? A participant from the soaring dragon continent? He Hu, who had golden pupils, was also stunned when he saw Yu Yang. "I am the new prison emperor that Song Yen mentioned just now. Of course, I have not grown to the level of the prison emperor. Otherwise, I would have killed you two flies with one slap. I thought you were some capable people. Turns out you don't even understand ancient runes. Don't stay in Heaven Realm anymore. Hurry up and go to the countryside to pick up cow dung. In my hometown, even those who pick up cow dung are more cultured than you." Yu Yang picked his ears. Facing two Heaven Realm rankers who didn't know how to understand ancient runes, he felt good about himself. It turned out that ancient runes were not common goods. If Song Yen and Black Hole couldn't understand it, it meant that not many people in Heaven Realm could understand it. This was definitely not something that anyone could understand. Yu Yang didn't have time now. Otherwise, he would have written a letter using ancient runes to tease Mingyu Guang and see if she understood ancient runes. Now, Yu Yang saw that Song Yen and He Hu's faces were ashen. It was like an illiterate person who was caught holding a newspaper upside down. This feeling was really too cool. "How did you chase me to Heaven Realm?" Song Yen quickly calmed himself down. If this Yu clan's third young master chased after him alone, he would kill him instantly. Of course, even if he ate a moron, he wouldn't think that way. If the other party wasn't confident, he wouldn't dare to chase after him. As for Yu Yang, Song Yen didn't think there was any problem. The only thing he was worried about was that human Ji Zun who could kill people instantly. So Heaven Realm is only SOSO. How disappointing. Ji Zun's cold and arrogant voice rang out like an ice pearl. Song Yan's heart sank. He immediately cried out in alarm, intending to warn his companions, "Be careful," but it was too late. Ji Zun, who appeared in the sky above the war altar, had already stretched out her hands slowly. Once again, she unleashed the light of destruction. This time, with the natural support of the war altar and the special support of the starry sky domain, the power that Ji Zun unleashed was 10 times stronger than before. The entire ancient battlefield ruins instantly turned into a sea of light that drowned everything. Chapter 542. After an unknown period of time, the sea of light gradually faded. Song Yen was obviously in a sorry state. He tried his best to be on guard, but he still suffered a huge loss due to his wrong estimation of the new power of the light of destruction. Before this, Ji Zun had released the light of destruction once. Although it killed dozens of ancient slaughterers, Song Yen didn't think much of it because he realized that this terrifying light couldn't really hurt him. He didn't think that the previous time was actually Ji Zun's plan. She didn't even use her full power and held back. This time, Ji Zun didn't hold back and used her full power. The power was 10 times stronger than before. With the help of Night Empress Starry Sky Domain and Ji Zun's full power, the power of the Light of Destruction could be increased by 8 times. However, what Ji Zun and herself didn't expect was that on this war altar, the power of the Light of Destruction could be further enhanced. This natural enhancement directly increased the power of the attack by more than 10 times. So, Song Yen and He, who were all in a tragic state. Under the light's close range, the holy item's cloak was completely shattered and turned into ashes. Song Yen originally had a head of beautiful curly golden hair. Even with the protection of the holy item and domain, half of his hair was burnt. The holy ranked purple robe on his body was full of holes. It looked like a beggar's clothes. In addition, Song Yan's body was burnt black like a roasted chicken. It was a complete change from his previous elegance, and he looked terrible. He was strong enough and didn't suffer any fatal injuries. However, if those who knew Song Yen knew about this, they would definitely be shocked. Because it had been at least 1,000 years since anyone could make Song Yen look so pathetic. Compared to Song Yen, He Hu suffered more serious injuries. He Hu, who didn't know that Ji Zun could release such a powerful attack, was directly hit by the light and burned his golden eyes. Even if he could recover, it would probably take a few years or even longer. He Hu, who had lost his eyesight and became blind, looked even worse than Song Yen. There were bloody wounds all over his body. The wounds were burnt black and gave off a barbecued smell. If he wasn't at the same level as Song Yen, he would have fallen to the ground with severe injuries. The ancient slaughterer beast king had fallen. Its 2 eyeballs directly exploded, turning into 2 terrifying bloody holes. Being the closest to Ji Zun's attack range, its head and face were burnt beyond recognition. Blood was flowing out of its nose and mouth. Other than the external wounds, it also suffered internal injuries. Ji Zun also knew that she wouldn't be able to kill the cunning Song Yen and He Hu instantly. Hence, she chose to focus her attack on the ancient slaughterer beast king that was previously injured and only had 1 eye left. Although the ancient slaughterer beast king was not as cunning as Song Yen, it was still the king of the ancient slaughterers and had countless subordinates. As long as it was still alive, it would be a huge threat to the entire battle. Since he could not kill Song Yen, he would choose to kill the ancient slaughterer beast king. Rather than injuring 10 fingers, it was better to break 1. This plan was formulated by Yu Yang. The ancient slaughterer beast king was an important point. Song Yen would escape, so he definitely could not let him take the beast king away. Other than Ji Zun, Night Empress and Yu Yang, this beast king was an invincible existence. Even to heaven-ranked level 3 Huang Quan, it was a fatal threat. After getting rid of the beast king, Huang and the rest could come out to assist in the battle. Then, Yu Yang, Ji Zun and Night Empress could focus on attacking Song Yen. The beast king did not die. Its body was extremely strong. Although it was blind, its life force was still very strong. A temporary injury was nothing to it. The 4 ancient slaughterer commanders did not die either. They were lying on the ground with their last breath. Previously, the light of destruction had almost killed them instantly. Now, with the light of destruction that was 10 times stronger, they were not killed instantly on the spot. It was all because of their extremely strong bodies. In a short period of time, they would not be able to recover their fighting power. Everything went according to Yu Yang's plan. The only thing that Yu Yang did not expect was that there were almost 100 ancient slaughterers standing on the war altar. Under the light of destruction, a large number of them collapsed. Instant kill. Even with their comrades shielding them, not many of them could survive. A few ancient slaughterer captains who were on the verge of death were still alive. However, this was their limit. Even if no one cared about them, they would not be able to survive. Damn it, this is too annoying. I hate people from the soaring dragon continent the most. Die, all of you, go and die. The blind He-Hu roared crazily. He reached out his hand and summoned his platinum grimoire. A few beasts appeared instantly. A monster with countless eyes that looked a little like an octopus with a few tentacles fused into He-Hu's body. With its support, He-Hu's skin grew densely packed eyes. There were more than 10 of them, big and small. It was extremely strange. 2 monsters with bull heads, lizard bodies and snake tails waved their long strange blades and charged towards Ji-Zun. They were both heaven-ranked level 2. They were comparable to the ancient slaughterer captains. From the way they waved their strange blades to create energy waves from afar, it could be determined that they were intelligent beasts. They were not like the unintelligent ancient slaughterers. Yu Yang saw that there were also 2 strange dwarves with whale-like whiskers under their jaws. They were carrying a huge bag on their back. They quickly connected the weapons in the bag, forming a 2-headed, 10-meter-long holy-ranked elite weapon. They then took out pieces of armors from the bag and connected the armors in an orderly manner, allowing He-Hu to obtain the best armor protection within 10 seconds. This was not the end. The 2 dwarf-like dwarves sprinkled a kind of golden blood that quickly condensed into heaven runes on He-Hu's body. With a few quick and efficient actions, the armor's performance was increased by more than 10 times. Interesting. Although Yu Yang did not care about the other party's stupid method, it not only hindered him from secretly learning the other party's heaven rune technique. Alright, you have completely angered me. Song Yen also summoned a flame giant that was as tall as a small mountain. He was not like He-Hu, who was more cautious. He first raised his trap domain, then slowly merged with the heaven-ranked level 2 flame giant. Yu Yang was sure that Song Yen definitely had a stronger summoned beast, but he did not summon it. It was probably Song Yan's most important secret. He was not willing to reveal it unless it was absolutely necessary. As for He-Hu, Yu Yang did not think that he was a fool. This He-Hu might not be as cunning as Song Yen, but he was definitely a fierce Zhang Fei. He was a meticulous person with a rough side. Maybe his arrogant attitude on the surface was just a cover. Seeing the enemy attack, Ji-Zun did not retreat but advanced instead. She did not dodge because of the enemy's strength. She stretched out her hand and pushed the 2 monsters with bull heads, lizard bodies and snake tails 100 meters away. Towards Song Yan's lightning-fast sneak attack, she only snorted coldly. A golden light barrier rose like a grimoire's barrier and sent Song Yen flying. He-Hu, who was attacking, could not believe it. Song Yen was a heaven-ranked level 5 fire elder from the central palace. He was sent flying in less than 1 move. Could it be that this girl from the soaring dragon continent was really that powerful? He did not believe it and waved his double-headed blade. It slashed down heavily. However, the recoil from his double-headed blade was even stronger. It flew into the air and almost fell out of his hands. This made He-Hu, who was one of the 8 great elders of the central palace, shocked. Even the 4 great hall masters could not do this, right? Could it be that this girl from the soaring dragon continent was even stronger than the 4 great hall masters? This is a skill of a beast. It could also be a skill that she comprehended herself. Song Yan's face turned ashen as he snorted angrily. Close combat is useless. We have to use our energy and kill her directly. This girl's body is not strong enough. She will definitely die if she gets hit by one of our moves. He-Hu, go and take care of those ants. I will hold them back. When you come back later, we will kill her together. Are you talking in your sleep before death? Ji-Zun's lily-white hand shattered the void again and condensed a destructive black chess. With a wave of her hand, it flew towards a monster with bull head, lizard body and snake tails. Song Yen did not even have time to warn her. He kicked the monster with bull head and lizard body away, dodging the black chess. However, Ji-zoon hooked her finger and the black chess returned instantly, piercing through the head of the monster with bull head and lizard body, killing it on the spot. Hei-hu was so angry that he screamed. However, he did not dare to take this destructive black chess head-on. He waved his double-headed blade and prepared to kill Yu Yang to vent his anger. Unexpectedly, countless stars appeared in front of Yu Yang and disappeared without a trace, like the energy wave that Hei-hu slashed out. Night Empress' voice was as clear as the sound of nature, without a trace of anger. Heaven Realm Ranker, please do not be anxious. If you do not mind, I will be your opponent. Although I cannot shock you like Ji-zoon, I hope that you will remember me as your opponent in the future. The remaining monster with bull head, lizard body and snake tail bypassed the starry sky domain. It was preparing to attack Yu Yang, who was continuously copying the four-sided monument inscriptions. Yu Yang saw that the four-sided divine monument was not damaged at all, even under the light of destruction. The reason was that when the light of destruction came, countless heaven runes and ancient runes immediately combined to form a thin light screen. Under the protection of this light screen, all the divine statues were not damaged at all. Yu Yang did not know how they were damaged. With this look, Yu Yang was immediately interested in the runes that had not disappeared yet. Although he was not 100% sure what use it was, he still copied it as soon as possible to avoid missing it. Yu Yang did not care about the attack of the monster with bull head and lizard body. Night Empress' voice rang out softly. She did not seem to be fighting, but her voice was as beautiful as a song. Heavenly star fall, meteor shower. In the starry sky domain, a star turned into a meteor and flew out. It cut through the space and unstoppably smashed the monster with bull head and lizard body that was preparing to attack Yu Yang. Before the monster could get up, the meteor shower that followed immediately smashed it into meat paste. Although it was not as shocking as Ji-zoon's hazy, this meteor shower was still a killing move. It was extremely terrifying. Huang Quan, what are you waiting for? There are so many monsters on the ground that are not dead yet. Are you waiting for them to recover before you fight? Yu Yang saw that Huang Quan, Fun Tian and the others were still foolishly watching the battle between Ji-zoon and Song Yen, and Night Empress and Hei-hu. He could not help but feel dizzy. Even if they were watching, they still had to watch when the situation was so urgent. Kill that brat. That brat is the mastermind behind the scenes. Song Yen hoped that Hei-hu would quickly kill Yu Yang. Night Empress was definitely not a battle-type ranker. If Hei-hu continued to fight with her, it would be a waste of energy. Change opponents. Hei-hu was furious. This Night Empress was not easy to fight. She did not even appear in the starry sky domain. How was he going to fight this battle? My two dwarf friends, your mum is calling you to go home for dinner. Yu Yang suddenly appeared behind the two dwarves. He first patted their shoulders. Taking the opportunity when they turned their heads in shock, the god-killing dagger slashed across their short necks at lightning speed. Black blood splattered. Chapter 543. When Hei-hu saw that Yu Yang killed his two blood slaves, he was fuming with anger. Although the two blood slaves were weak, they were very important. Especially when it came to the golden runes, no one could replace them. Hei-hu could increase his strength by at least 50% after receiving their special buff. Now that they were killed by Yu Yang in one move, Hei-hu's heart ached. Honestly speaking, Hei-hu didn't care about the death of the two abyss manatees. This was because this kind of abyss manatee was an elite personal guard that the abyss vassal clans would offer every 100 years. Not to mention the central palace, there were more than 10 of them in the Black Lake Grimoire world. Even if 2 of them died, it would not be a big deal. On the contrary, these weak blood slaves did not grow naturally. They needed a large amount of manpower and resources to be nurtured. The process was extremely slow. Hei-hu spent 1,000 years and painstakingly nurtured these 2 heaven runes proficient whalebone dwarves as blood slaves. He didn't expect them to be killed in one move. What drove He-Hu crazy was that the whalebone dwarves had a special parasitic beast called wormworm in their bodies. Even if the whalebone dwarves were severely injured, even if their heads were chopped off, as long as their bodies were not destroyed, they could regenerate and recover. However, this damned human boy actually possessed the legendary Nirvana flame. After killing them in one move, he immediately refined the skull crystals of the two blood slaves. This way, the two blood slaves would die forever. It was impossible for them to come back to life. "I'll kill you," He-Hu cursed Song Yen in his heart. If this guy didn't interfere with the ancient war in the death arena, this would not have happened. No matter if it was the girl who released the light of destruction or the girl who possessed the starry sky domain, they were not to be trifled with. Looking at this human boy who possessed the Nirvana flame, he was not someone who was easy to deal with either. The Nirvana flame that he possessed was the world-cleansing flame that even the Fire Palace Master could not possess. If anyone were to fall into his hands, it was likely that no one could guarantee their survival. God Rune Boundary. Yu Yang's speed of learning was very fast. When He-Hu rushed towards him, he had already combined the blood slave's drawing technique with his own understanding of the rune mysteries, and drew the four-sided divine steel's pattern skillfully. Sure enough, it was as Yu Yang had expected. The rune pattern that protected the four-sided divine steel was an extremely powerful defensive runic battle formation. Its surface was extremely thin. When He-Hu punched from afar, it seemed to be unable to withstand it. It was like a piece of clothing being blown up by a violent tornado, about to be torn into pieces at any time. However, as He-Hu's fist bombarded it, it caved in slightly, instantly dispelling his opponent's terrifying fist aura. He-Hu's attack was like a clay ox entering the sea. Not to mention He-Hu, even Yu Yang himself did not expect such an effect. Awesome! Yu Yang was secretly overjoyed. The runic circle that he had just drawn was the result of his comprehension, and he had yet to fully comprehend it. If he were to grasp it completely, how powerful would its defensive prowess be? Yu Yang didn't dare to imagine it. Of course, this divine rune boundary, runic circle also had a weakness. It was fixed after being condensed, and could not be easily moved or counterattacked. It could only be used for pure defense. To Yu Yang, pure defense was not the most useful. However, Yu Yang had a way to use it. For example, armors, puppets, buildings or teleportation circles. If he could use this divine rune boundary as a permanent protection, it would be extremely effective. He-Hu was a little shocked. He originally thought that he could kill his opponent with one punch, or even if he couldn't, he could heavily injure his opponent. Who would have thought that not only did his opponent successfully defend against it, he even had the time to revise the blood rune technique that he had just stolen. This brat actually stole the profound meaning of his blood rune slaves. When He-Hu came to his senses, he was even more furious, and a cruel expression appeared on his face. He waved the double-headed blade in his other hand, spinning like a wheel and throwing it out at lightning speed. The wheel brought along countless thunderbolts and slashed through the air towards Yu Yang. "Your opponent is me." Night Empress' voice rang out like the sound of nature. The starry sky territory changed. The stars that were originally floating in the sky all started to spin, forming a galaxy with 6 giant spiral arms. The shape was extremely similar to the Milky Way in the sky. Thus, it produced an endless suction force and directly diverted He-Hu's spinning wheel away from its target. He-Hu's reaction was extremely fast. He immediately waved his hand and pulled back the double-headed blade that was connected to his mind. This holy ranked treasure almost fell into the hands of Night Empress. Night Empress Starry Sky Territory's special ability made He-Hu, a heaven-ranked level 5 water elder of the Central Palace, afraid to attack her easily. Even though he knew that he was stronger, his opponent didn't show himself and fought purely with the special power of the territory. He-Hu felt that he shouldn't waste his effort before he had a way to break it, in case he made a fool of himself. As for Yu Yang, He who naturally wouldn't let this despicable human go. He brushed his platinum grimoire and 8 abyss manatees were summoned. Kill him, no, capture him. I want to turn him into my blood-rune slave. He who suddenly had an idea. He felt that this brat was extremely talented in runes. If he could turn him into his blood-rune slave, he would be able to advance a level. Third young master, we are coming. Huang Quan was a little anxious now because he realized that he couldn't kill the ancient slaughterers. Forget about a few ancient slaughterer captains that were on the verge of death. Even if they didn't attack, they would still die. Death was only a matter of time. However, the ancient slaughterer commander was difficult to kill, at least it wouldn't die in a short period of time. Huang Quan, Fan Tian and the others discussed for a while and decided to let Yu Yang kill them. He had the world exterminating wheel and nirvana flame, so his killing efficiency was very high. Moreover, there was still the ancient slaughterer beast king. If it wasn't for Yu Yang, Huang Quan and the others wouldn't be able to kill it without a few hours of attrition. Huang Quan and the others quickly flew over and crossed paths with Yu Yang, blocking in front of the 8 abyss manatees. Although the abyss manatees' abilities were not too bad, be it in terms of body size, strength, life force, etc., it was far inferior to the ancient slaughterer. Huang Quan and the others were very confident that they could fight against these 8 enemies. Gulp, gulp. The 8 abyss manatees were all intelligent creatures. Although they did not have a grimoire, they still had their own beasts. All 8 of them took out a purple and blue summoning crystal ball and quickly chanted. Blue light appeared like ripples, and countless amphibious fish demons were summoned. Although these ugly amphibious fish demons weren't very strong and were only around innate level 6, they couldn't be killed instantly by Huang Quan and the others. However, they could release a special ability, fishing net capture. Damn it! Wang Jin and Three-Eyed Tiger Man from the Bone Clan were caught by the amphibious fish demon's fishing net. The only ones who managed to escape were Huang Quan, who had light eyes, and the Light Man, who could turn into light. As for Fan Tian from the Fire Clan and Yun Xing from the Liquid Metal Man, they were slightly slower and had yet to arrive. The half-human and half-robot guy was the most tragic. His speed was slower, so the amphibious fish demons didn't target him. Instead, he was surrounded by the abyss manatees. This was because he was already seriously injured and became the weakest among them. He had become a soft persimmon that everyone could bully. Song Yen and Ji Zun were still fighting. He didn't dare to let Ji Zun have the time to attack. This was because other than him and He Hu, no one else could escape death if they met Ji Zun. He had to entangle this terrifying enemy and slowly deplete her energy. Now, he understood this strong enemy's weakness. It was that her body was limited by her female body. She wasn't strong enough and didn't seem to be good at close combat. If it wasn't for the protective shield, with her weak body, she wouldn't be able to withstand his attack. This woman must be killed. If she was allowed to mature, she would definitely be a strong enemy on the same level as the 4 great palace masters. Before she could solve her natural weakness of having a weak body, he must kill her in this ancient battlefield ruins. No, not only her, there was also the invisible Night Empress and the Yu Clan 3rd young master who possessed the world exterminating wheel, eternal wheel and nirvana flame. They must not leave this place alive. Otherwise, if he was allowed to mature, the incident with the prison emperor 6,000 years ago would repeat itself. Hey Hu, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and kill that Yu Clan 3rd young master. Song Yen suddenly realized that He Hu was still fighting with Night Empress and became anxious. Shut up, Song Yen. I know what I am doing. He Hu was very angry. It wasn't that he didn't want to kill that human boy who was like an ant. If he could leave this place, he would even want to capture him personally and turn him into his blood slave. However, He Hu only knew how terrifying Night Empress was when he was trapped in the Starry Sky domain. She was definitely a strong enemy who could kill people without a trace. If he underestimated such an opponent, he would most likely die without a proper burial. Don't ask anything now, don't say anything. Just listen to me. If you see someone who isn't on our side, just kill them. Yu Yang guided the Emperor of the Underworld, Elder Nan Gong, Southern Demon King, and the Impatiens out from the grimoire world. He who snorted coldly when he saw that they were all ants that he could kill in an instant. He didn't care. However, when he saw that Yu Yang had transformed into an ancient Titan Loli that was more than 200 meters tall, he was shocked. Is the Western Guardian War God still alive? The ancient Titan Loli had lost her memory because of the Black Hell King's concussion. Instead, she listened to Yu Yang's every word. With a wave of Yu Yang's hand, she followed behind him. Let's kill this multi-eyed monster. Yu Yang pointed at He Hu. The giant Loli, who was wearing the Titan armor, was very obedient. She immediately stepped on He Hu, almost turning him into a meat patty. Fortunately, He Hu was still able to maintain the reaction speed of a Heaven Realm level 5 ranker. Scram! He Hu raised his right hand and released an earth-shattering shockwave directly towards the giant Loli's face. It hurts so much! The giant Loli rushed out of the shockwave and scathed, and almost flattened the dumbfounded He Hu with a punch. He Hu narrowly avoided it, but an abyss manatee that was closer to him was unlucky. It was accidentally stepped on by the giant Loli as she ran. She stepped on it. In an instant, all the tendons and bones in its body were broken and it died a horrible death. Without the ancient slaughter beast king to resist, the giant Loli's appearance was like a bug. Her more than 200 meters tall body, her strength that could shake mountains, and her Titan armor that had unparalleled defense made her an invincible goddess of war on the battlefield. Especially with the support of the Night Empress Starry Sky Domain and the War Altar, the giant Loli's power increased by a few times. He Hu was sweating profusely, but he was still proud. Only heaven-ranked level 3? What a clumsy and useless blockhead. Yu Yang finally brought Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai out. The two girls stood on the eternal wheel. Their minds were connected to Yu Yang's as they quietly waited for him to unleash body fusion. With the two girls around, the power that Yu Yang could unleash was even more powerful than the giant Loli, who was supported by the Starry Sky Domain and the War Altar. He Hu glanced at Princess Sisai and Shui Wuxia, disapproving. He completely ignored those below heaven rank. Actually, even if it was heaven-ranked level 1, to him who was heaven-ranked level 5, it was not a threat at all. Slash! Princess Sisai leaped in the air and the white tiger image appeared in the sky. The prison Emperor Divine Sword slashed down from the sky. Too slow. He Hu sneered. How could he, a heaven-ranked level 5, be hit by an ant-like human girl? He raised his right hand and prepared to kill his opponent. What if you include me? Yu Yang appeared behind Princess Qian Qian in a flash. He bent down and stretched out his hand, grabbing onto Princess Qian Qian's slender leg. Then, he swung Princess Qian Qian's entire body, as if he was holding a human-shaped sword. His innate qi flowed through Princess Qian Qian's meridians and into the prison Emperor Divine Sword. Sword qi rushed to the sky. He Hu was shocked to realize that he couldn't move at all. Other than the gravitational pull of the Starry Sky Domain, there was also a Lamia demon Loli staring at him with her round eyes. At the same time, there was a girl holding an ancient book in the other hand of the Yu Clan third young master. That girl held a divine seal in the ancient book and quickly approached him. She was using the supreme will of the divine seal to suppress him. He fell into a trap. He Hu suddenly realized that these two girls who were so weak that they were not even worth mentioning were the key figures supporting the Yu Clan third young master. He felt that he had been tricked, but it was too late for regrets. Not only Yu Yang, Night Empress and even Ji Zun, who was fighting with Song Yen, appeared behind him. Chapter 544. He Hu watched helplessly as a terrifying black ball pierced through his chest. He forcefully drilled into the hard ground. As for Shui Wuxia, she used the ancient book to support the prison Emperor Divine Seal. Jizun frowned slightly but didn't say anything. He was in a very sorry state. An unparalleled power shot up to the sky, bringing along countless blue liquid, forming a liquid giant that was more than 200 meters tall in the sky. The prison Emperor Divine sword cut through He whose holy ranked helmet unstoppably and directly hit his head. He waved his hand. Of course, not many people knew about this specialty. Everyone thought that Yu Yang, who possessed Nirvana Flame, was an expert in fire attack. It was as if he had never appeared before. There's no good way at the moment. Little Yu Yang, I'll leave it to you. Night Empress didn't seem to be willing to waste her energy to fight against the blue giant and gave it to Yu Yang. Furthermore, Night Empress' goal wasn't to kill He Hu. Huang Quan and the others also retreated quickly as they couldn't fight against this aura. This blue giant stood in the middle of the lake. Jizun was silent. But He Hu, who was heavily injured, still didn't die. He didn't get angry and said to Jizun, "If I don't die today, I swear I will exterminate all living beings in the soaring dragon continent." He then said to the direction of the starry sky domain, "I will remember your name, Night Empress. You are an opponent worthy of being vigilant for life. Anyone who looks down on you is a fool, just like me in the beginning. Today, either you die or I die. Don't be rash, he is borrowing our strength to fight." Yu Yang could see that although the blue giant He who was in was strong, it was definitely not as strong as the giant Loli, who was an ancient titan. It was just that the giant was made of liquid. It could eliminate the opponent's strength and borrow its strength to attack. Fighting with this liquid giant was like punching the sea, it was a futile action. Understood. Not only did the Emperor of the Underworld and the others agree, even Huang Quan and the others listened to Yu Yang's words at this moment. The spirit of Earth Fire, who had always been fearless, left the deep blue lake in disgust. As for the blue gas, she used a storm to blow it away, unwilling to let the gas contaminate her body. The prison Emperor Divine Sword's sword chi crisscrossed on the ground, creating cracks. He whose muscles ruptured and even his bones cracked, water and fire collided in the sky. This was because other than the prison Emperor Divine Sword, there was also the terrifying light of destruction and the star power of the starry sky domain. Alright, who asked me to be the team leader? Yu Yang was actually most proficient in water battles. You won't be complacent for long. Song Yen suddenly raised the staff of return and a beam of light shot into the sky. As the fire elemental elder of the central palace, he had abandoned his teammates and fled the ancient battlefield ruins alone. This action caused Huang Quan, Fen Tian, Yun Xing and the others to be dumbfounded. It was not that there were no deserters in the Heaven Realm, but they had never seen a deserter with the strength of Heaven Stage Level 5. Who is that person? Yu Yang raised his eyebrows and asked. Quickly kill He Hu, that guy is calling for reinforcements. Yu Yang knew that Song Yen was a petty person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. He would definitely not admit defeat so easily, so he quickly reminded everyone, those whose strength is below heaven rank retreat further away. Be careful of He Hu's final struggle. The wind howled. That Jizun and Night Empress did not use their full strength to surround and kill He Hu. What did this mean? More and more blue liquid seeped out. At first, it was small like a spring, but as time went by, it became more and more like a stream accumulating in the ground. In the end, the entire depression on the ground was filled with a large amount of blue liquid, like a deep blue lake. The abyss manatees and amphibious fish demons' battle power multiplied in the blue liquid. The prison Emperor Divine Seal was not like the prison Emperor Divine Sword, which could attack at any time, but it was much more powerful. Every time it attacked, it would be a fatal blow. Roar! Fresh blood flowed out from the top of his head, and a large hole appeared on his chest. His internal organs were gone. Awoo! He Hu felt as if his whole body was being stepped on by 10,000 mammoths. His bones were groaning in pain. Song Yen did not have any expression, as if he did not see his comrade being surrounded and beaten up. However, his heart was already in turmoil. It was not that he did not want to save him, but he thought that if he tried to save him, he would fall into the enemy's trap and replace He-Hu as the enemy's target. The prison Emperor Divine seal smashed into his heart. Snow filled the sky. "Don't worry, after I kill you, I will go to your grave every year to praise you." He-Hu nodded and replied, "There has never been a human who has not reached heaven rank who could make me so embarrassed." That person was right. You are indeed the new prison emperor. No matter what, I will not let you live until you understand. Night Empress turned invisible again and disappeared without a trace. Yu Yang did not have the time to look back to see Night Empress' face. He pulled Princess Sisai with one hand and Shui Wuxiao with the other. Yu Yang did not mention himself after listening for a long time. He quickly reminded him, Hey, uncle, I am the most outstanding one. Please praise me too." But now, before the situation worsened, he still had a huge advantage and escape. No matter how retarded He-Hu was, he would not escape to the sky where it was easier to withstand attacks. Emperor of the Underworld, Elder Nan Gong and the others retreated thousands of meters away, but they still felt suffocated and had difficulty breathing. He-Hu's body rose from the deep blue lake. A shadow of death that he had not felt for a long time struck his heart. "I will tell you when you are dead." He-Hu stood in the middle of the deep blue lake and slowly increased his strength. He lowered his head. His golden pupils that had lost his sight due to his injury started to shine again. The wound on his head that was slashed by the prison Emperor Divine Sword and the bloody hole on his chest started to recover quickly. "You are all outstanding opponents. However, I'm sorry to tell you a piece of bad news. That is, the difference in level, the absolute difference in power. It cannot be made up with tactics and numbers." She only turned to attack He-Hu because she did not fall for the trap. After her attack just now, she returned to her original silent state and waited for the next opportunity to attack. What she really wanted to do was to create an opportunity. Giant Loli still wanted to stay in her original position, but the blue giant stretched out his arms infinitely like a sea snake. He wrapped his arms around Giant Loli's arms and forcefully pulled her off the ground, throwing her 1,000 meters away. Forget about the spectators. Even Giant Loli, who was dizzy from the fall, could not believe that she was easily defeated by the enemy in terms of strength. Blue liquid seeped out from the ground that the prison Emperor Divine Sword had cut. It was not spring water, nor was it seawater. This was definitely the water source of the ancient battlefield ruins. It was He-Hu's doing. Countless blue gas rose up and filled the entire battlefield. Giant Loli stopped her stomping action and stared at the ground carefully. Her fighting power had directly risen to heaven-ranked level 5. Of course, Void had just broken free from the prison Emperor's seal and was still in a weakened state. He had not recovered his true strength yet. Otherwise, Yu Yang would not have to endure 100 times gravity, but 200 times, 300 times, or even higher gravity. He-Hu had just broken free from Little Wen Li's binding chains' inherent skill. His entire body exploded with energy and instantly sent Yu Yang, Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai flying. The Night Empress suddenly appeared. Her beautiful figure flashed and appeared behind Yu Yang. She gestured with her lily-white hands and the stars in the starry sky domain instantly flowed behind her, drawing streams of light. They produced an endless gravitational force and absorbed all of He-Hu's energy. Even He-Hu, who was under the attack of the prison Emperor Divine Sword and prison Emperor Divine Seal, was pulled along. He-Hu lost control of his entire body. His holy ranked armor slowly collapsed under the pressure of the two divine equipment and the endless star power. "I'll stomp you to death." Giant Loli could not react in time just now, but now she finally caught up. She saw the tremors on the ground and stomped on it heavily. In a thousandth of a second, the flood replaced He-Hu's body and turned into the pulling force for the star power to return. Song Yen secretly shuddered and thought that he was lucky. If he was hot-headed and rushed over to save He-Hu, then he would definitely be the unlucky one. It was completely a manifestation of selfishness. If escaping from the death arena back to the heaven realm was a strategy that did not waste energy to borrow the power of the ancient code to attack the enemy. He-Hu had never thought that he would need to escape like a groundhog. However, no matter how ugly the position was, as long as he could escape with his life, it was already the best choice. That's right, drilling into the ground was very ugly, but compared to flying elegantly, wasn't it faster to escape to the sky? Drilling into the ground was actually the best way to save one's life. Jizun glanced coldly at Song Yen, who was watching from afar and slowly flew towards this cunning enemy. Yu Yang took out his Hui Jin magic blade and waved out a large amount of Heaven's Fury fire. The Heaven's Fury fire struck towards the center of the deep blue lake. The six-pointed star diagram was drawn on He-Hu's back. Space slowly shattered, including the armor, skin, flesh, energy, and everything else. All of it was absorbed by the small black hole-like black dots and condensed into tiny particles. Then, under Jizun's release, it shot out from her palm. At this moment, He-Hu did not have the time to counterattack. The only thing he wanted to do was to escape. He did not have time to think. Relying on his instincts, He-Hu fell to the ground with all his might. I stomp, I stomp, I stomp, 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 stomp. Giant Loli stomped on the ground like a groundhog and chased after He-Hu, who was hiding underground. Her crazy bombardment caused the entire ancient battlefield ruins to tremble as if there was a magnitude 10 earthquake. Even the weakest amphibious fish demons and abyss manatees, who were fighting from afar, were shaken to the point that they could not even stand straight. The giant Loli charged forward with a rumbling sound, preparing for another head-on clash. As an ancient titan with the support of the titan armor, how could she not be able to defeat a person who was drenched in water? No matter what, the return of Night Empress star power had enough influence on He-Hu, who was attacked by the divine equipment. Not only Little One Li, Stone Element Medusa and Storm Mermaid appeared, even Xue Wuxia, who had been waiting quietly, could finally unleash her full power. She flipped open the ancient book that had leveled up from gold-ranked to platinum-ranked and summoned her guardian beast Blizzard Lady, that had already fused with the ancient book. With the help of Yu Yang's inability, the entire ancient battlefield ruins turned into a world of ice and snow. The Prison Emperor Divine Sword and Prison Emperor Divine Seal's power to the maximum. He-Hu did not know what these two divine equipment were, but he knew that any one of them was enough to be fatal. Falling into the enemy's trap, if he did not escape quickly, he would definitely die on the spot. He-Hu did not think about why the enemy's first target was him. He also did not think about why Song Yen did not come to save him. He also did not think about why the Yu clan's third young master had two divine equipment that he did not have. He did not even think about his injuries. Her cute expression was like a little girl who was looking for cockroaches. On the other hand, Night Empress' voice sounded softly. This is domain of power, a type of domain that can materialize objects. Yu Yang had tried Void's 100 times gravity before, but compared to Night Empress Starry Sky Domain's star power return, the terrifying 100 times gravity seemed to be inferior. The deep blue lake spurted out a 10-meter-tall waterfall as if it had no life, resisting the Heaven's Fury fire lotus. A strange sound was heard. Jizun was the final death god. He-Hu, who had drilled into the ground, frantically tried to escape. Their real target was definitely him. Chapter 545. Although the sky was filled with snow, it was not easy to freeze the blue giant that He-Hu was in. The amphibious fish demons and abyss manatees all hid into the lake. This blue liquid would not freeze at all. With He-Hu's willpower, they had a strong resistance against the cold. Blizzard Lady, who was using cold air to engulf the entire ancient battlefield ruins, had leveled up to diamond-ranked level 1 after fusing with the ancient book. She had also trained hard with her master in the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower. She had leveled up to diamond-ranked level 2. Although her level was not very high, she was very powerful. With a height of 40 meters, she could control lightning with one hand and cold air with the other. With the support of Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia's body fusion, the blizzard that Blizzard Lady summoned had completely turned the ancient battlefield ruins into a bitterly cold place. The ground was frozen solid. A few ancient slaughterer captains who were not dead died in a blink of an eye. A layer of frost formed in their eyes. Charm Demon Queen took advantage of the cold and used her bewitching skill. Under Impatience's storm-like attacks, the blinded ancient slaughterer beast king actually accepted Charm Demon Queen's deceptive mental guidance and was led into Impatience's grimoire world. Actually, not only it, there were more than 20 ancient slaughterers that were not injured yet trapped in there. Yu Yang was not free now, he would slaughter them slowly when he was free. If it was another guardian beast, they would definitely not be able to do this. But for Charm Demon Queen, who was already a divine beast and was good at mental confusion, catching people was her specialty. The remaining ancient slaughterer commanders finally fell to the ground under Huang Quan and the rest's crazy attacks. Of course, the main cause of their death was the giant Loli's angry attack. The giant Loli vented her anger on the heavily injured ancient slaughterer commanders because she suffered a setback in the battle against the blue giant. He who was inside the blue giant, continuously healed his body. He ignored everything outside. On the other hand, Yu Yang was also surrounding the blue giant, piercing the prison emperor's 7-star pillars one after another. At the same time, he drew divine rune boundaries one after another, intending to trap He who in the deep blue lake. Can he really fight against the heaven-ranked level 5 He who alone? Huang Quan and the others were confused. Would Ji Zun and Night Empress really let Yu Yang fight alone? Why was that? Wouldn't it be better if the three of them worked together? Of course, Huang Quan and the others also understood that Yu Yang and the other warriors from the Soaring Dragon continent were not fools. On the contrary, each of them was smarter than the other. They would definitely use the best strategy. Their current appearance might be to confuse the enemy and make them lower their guard. Just now, when they surrounded He Hu, it was the best example. Elder Nan Gong stood in front of the statue, continuously drawing anything useful. He hoped that he could bring back these things to benefit the warriors of Tong Tian Tower and the Innate Alliance. Tong Tian Tower had been in decline for too long. They urgently needed all kinds of knowledge from the Heaven Realm to fill in the gaps in history. The Emperor of the Underworld was still fighting. He used his unique Twilight Domain to catch an Abyss Manatee. The Heaven-ranked Level 2 Abyss Manatee was not something he could fight against. However, Yu Yang, Night Empress and Ji Zun's shocking battle prowess greatly encouraged his fighting spirit. Who dared to say that those below Heaven rank were ants? Who said that there was no one in the lower levels of the Western Heaven Realm? Yu Clan's third young master was not a Heaven ranker. He killed Heaven rankers one after another. Killing them was like cutting melons and vegetables. Now, Yu Yang even had the ability to fight against the Heaven-ranked level 5 He Hu. The Emperor of the Underworld indeed had no way to kill the Abyss Manatee. However, he was confident that as long as there was no enemy help, the Abyss Manatee would definitely not be able to escape from his Twilight Domain. In this domain, the Emperor of the Underworld was like a god. Even if it was a Heaven-ranked Level 2 intelligent creature, without the protection of a summoning grimoire and guardian warbeast, it could only be tortured. Forever running for your life in the Twilight Domain. The Emperor of the Underworld's Twilight Domain was gray within 100 meters. No matter what the Abyss Manatee saw, it was a flash created by the Emperor of the Underworld. Within 100 meters, it was misled by the Emperor of the Underworld's will and kept moving forward. It would never know that in this kind of movement, the path it was walking on would always be a circle. Again and again. No matter how it walked, left or right, no matter how it changed its direction, it could not escape the control of the Emperor of the Underworld. In this twilight domain, every meter it moved would consume 100 times more stamina than usual. If it stood still, the abyss manatee that was as high as heaven-ranked level 2 might be able to maintain its stamina for a long time. However, in this kind of rapid movement, the energy in the abyss manatee's body was quickly consumed. This was what the Emperor of the Underworld wanted to see, and he had purposely manipulated it. The abyss manatee that was not considered low in intelligence was easily manipulated by him like a monkey. Huang Quan and the others sweated profusely. The Emperor of the Underworld's strength was nothing in their eyes. In the beginning, even the Black Hell King, Huang Quan and the others did not pay much attention to him. However, after this battle, Huang Quan and the others had a clear understanding of him. There was no need to talk about Yu Yang. Anyone who faced him would definitely die. The Black Hell King was also terrifying. This fellow was sinister and had strange abilities. Even Huang Quan, who was heaven-ranked level 3, did not have the confidence to win against the Black Hell King. Now, seeing the Emperor of the Underworld using the Twilight Domain to slowly kill the heaven-ranked level 2 Abyss Manatee, this kind of elite warrior that was 1 in 100 million in the Abyss clan had no way to retaliate and was just running in circles like a fool, Huang Quan and the others could not help but secretly break out in cold sweat. Huang Quan had the eye power to not be confused, only he had the absolute confidence to escape from this Twilight Domain. However, the Bone Clan Wengjin, Three-Eyed Tiger Man and the others, who were only heaven-ranked level 1, did not dare to say anything. Even the figure of light, which was made of pure light energy, could not see through the dusky Twilight Domain. Although the Emperor of the Underworld was not as abnormal as the Yu clan's third young master, whoever underestimated the Emperor of the Underworld would suffer greatly. Warm-up is done, the game should end now. He who slowly emerged from the giant that was made of blue liquid. The injuries on his body had already recovered by more than half. Other than his chest that was crushed by He, there were still ghastly wounds. Even his skull that was cut by the Prison Emperor Divine Sword, and his heart that was forcefully shattered by the Prison Emperor Divine Seal, had completely recovered. Overdraft? Quenching thirst with poison, courting death. Ji Zun snorted. She ignored He who was recovering from his injuries. The blue giant should not be able to leave his body. Night Empress gave Yu Yang a very important hint. Understood. Yu Yang, who had the Heaven Eyes divine vision, could not see through the heaven-ranked level 5 He who previously. However, after observing for such a long time, he naturally saw through some secret. Otherwise, he would not be so calm. You're just like an ant. You'll soon understand that your little trick is nothing in the face of absolute power. No matter how many helpers and beasts you have, you will not be able to defend against my full strength. He who slowly merged into the blue giant's body. He waved his fist from inside. The blue giant that was made of pure liquid was exactly the same as he waved his fist towards Yu Yang. This fist carried He whose will. It carried the power of a heaven-ranked level 5 fierce tyrant. It was believed that any living being below heaven-ranked level 2 would be instantly killed by this fist. Other than Ji Zun and Night Empress, the rest of the warriors felt a sense of suffocation. It was as if a giant hand was strangling their throats, making it hard for them to breathe. Even though they were thousands of meters away, it was still the same. Then, what kind of pressure would Yu Yang, who was under the fist, have to bear? Come at me. Yu Yang laughed coldly. The giant lowly rushed forward unstoppably. Her fortress-like body blocked in front of Yu Yang. He who seemed to have thought of this. The blue giant's arms split into dozens of arms. Some landed on the giant lowly's body. Some went around her. They continued to attack Yu Yang, who was behind her. At this moment, Yu Yang had already disappeared from his original position. He counterattacked and appeared in front of the blue giant. He held a rune wheel in each of his hands, the eternal wheel in his left hand and the world-exterminating wheel in his right hand. In a split second, the blue giant's movement stopped. The body that was 10 meters away from the eternal wheel was still moving. However, the body that was closer to the eternal wheel was stopped by an irresistible force. This caused the blue giant's body to change shape. Its body pressed forward and became an ugly monster. Because it was a liquid, its transformation was not affected at all. At the same time, He Hu's reaction was extremely fast. He immediately controlled the blue giant to move back, trying to escape the range of the eternal wheel. The world-exterminating wheel spun and flew out. It was impossible for Yu Yang to use it to hit He Hu. However, it was extremely easy for him to use it to cut the blue giant's head. The target was too big. He Hu's will was unable to resist the power of the world-exterminating wheel. He could only watch as it cut a hole. What was even more frightening was that when this hole appeared, a fire phoenix made of nirvana flame immediately flew out from Yu Yang's body. It spread out its 100-meter-long fire wings and passed through the hole created by the world-exterminating wheel. At the same time, it drew a thin red line on the blue giant's neck. The Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus had no effect on the blue giant. However, Nirvana's flame was different. He Hu did not think and immediately danced in the air with the blue giant's head. He gave up the body below the blue giant's neck. This liquid was the materialization of his domain. As long as he touched it, he would recover. He could not let the fire phoenix burn him. Although his body did not come into contact with it, the fire phoenix could burn everything, including He Hu's will and soul. He did not want to be burned. The body below the head lost control of his will and turned back into blue liquid. It fell down with a crashing sound. Blizzard Lady let out a breath of cold air that had been accumulated for a long time. Without the control of He Hu's will, the blue liquid froze into ice. Miraculously, it became a frozen blue waterfall in the sky. An iron-backed demonic wolf that had never appeared before suddenly jumped out. It was so weak that it was practically insignificant. A bronze-ranked level 3 iron-backed demonic wolf. If it hadn't jumped out from Yu Yang's body, Huang Quan and the others wouldn't even bother to look at it. If this kind of creature was in Heaven Realm, it would not even be qualified to be a child's pet. Moreover, this wolf looked like a thief and looked lazy. It was not even qualified to be a watchdog. It was not a good-looking and useful pet. The Yu clan's third young master had actually summoned a useless dog during such a tense battle. What was his intention in doing this? Even He Hu, who was preparing to counterattack, was stunned by this unusual summon. Could it be that this brat summoned the wrong creature? Moreover, he did not summon it at all. This watchdog seemed to have jumped out on its own. Could it be that his pet was not intelligent enough and betrayed him due to the pressure? Meow meow. This wretched-looking iron-backed demonic wolf barked at Yu Yang, trying to curry favor with him. It wanted to run over and rub against his leg. Scram, I have no time for you now. Yu Yang kicked it into the air. Everyone was sweating profusely. Just when everyone thought that Yu Yang made a mistake and made a fool of himself, the iron-backed demonic wolf that was kicked into the air suddenly transformed into a world-exterminating demonic wolf that was 100 meters tall. It opened its huge mouth, and an unfamiliar power of the ancient code emerged from its body and enveloped the entire area. Once this destructive nomological power appeared, it caused everyone present to tremble. Ancient code? The heaven-ranked level 5 He Hu was scared out of his wit. He understood what the power of the ancient code represented. It was definitely not something he could fight against. He Hu wanted to escape, but it was too late. The strange wolf that had mysteriously transformed into a terrifying world-exterminating demonic wolf was faster than lightning. It opened its mouth and swallowed the blue giant's head. Even He Hu was swallowed into its stomach in one go. When it landed on the ground again, it gave an ugly burp as if it had indigestion. Everyone was shocked. Huang Quan and the others almost fainted. Where did this wolf come from? Why did it even swallow the heaven-ranked level 5 He Hu? Was this real? Was this a dream? Chapter 546. Huang Quan and the others felt like they were in a dream. A bronze-ranked level 3 iron-backed demonic wolf swallowed the heaven-ranked level 5 He Hu in one gulp. This was even more shocking than an ant eating a giant dragon. They were dumbfounded and didn't know how to react for a long time. Hui Tailang, who had swallowed He Hu, quickly shrunk its body, and the power of the ancient code gradually disappeared. When its body shrunk to a size of 12 meters, suddenly, it spat out a gush of acid from its mouth. Half of He Hu's body was spat out. It turned out that He Hu was not completely dead yet. He was still struggling. What made everyone speechless was that Grey Wolf raised his neck and forcefully swallowed He Hu, who was still struggling. "Slow down, don't panic." Yu Yang flew over. Blard. Grey Wolf's body shrunk once again. The nomological power disappeared from his body. He Hu, who was struggling in his stomach, vomited again. This time, without waiting for Grey Wolf to swallow again, He Hu struggled frantically and fell to the ground with a thud. By the time Yu Yang arrived, He Hu had already escaped to the sky, far away from Grey Wolf, who had shrunk back to his original form. "You idiot, who asked you to digest him immediately? I asked you to bite him and wait for me to kill him before digesting him. Can you digest a whole heaven-ranked level 5 living person in one go?" Yu Yang was furious. He punched and kicked Hui Tailang, who had lowered his head to admit his mistake, violently beating him up. Grey Wolf's surprise attack just now was part of Yu Yang's plan. Yu Yang had the power of the laws of the cards of destiny. Under his control, Grey Wolf could instantly transform into the true form of the world-exterminating demon wolf that could devour all things. As Grey Wolf was not powerful enough, there was a limit to the amount of time that Yu Yang could control the nomological energy on its body. In addition, he did not have any prior experience and did not know the exact time. Yu Yang's original plan was to let Grey Wolf bite He Hu, then everyone would gang up on him. At the very least, they would severely injure He Hu before letting Grey Wolf devour him. Who knew that once Grey Wolf revealed his true form as the world-exterminating demon wolf, he would instinctively swallow He Hu into his stomach with the body of the world-exterminating demon wolf and the combination of the power of laws. Digesting the enemy was undoubtedly the best choice. Unfortunately, the duration was limited. Otherwise, He Hu would definitely be dead. "Alright, don't scold him anymore. Grey Wolf knows his mistake." Impatience went up to comfort the enraged Yu Yang. She felt that Grey Wolf's performance was already very impressive, and with this experience, it would definitely do better in the future. "Woof, woof, woof." Grey Wolf hurriedly nodded and put on the appearance of a loyal thug, wagging his tail. Everyone was speechless. Was this really a wolf? Wasn't this fellow a little too smart? Looking at the black lake in the sky, he couldn't help but shiver. The black lake in the sky was too tragic to look at. The power of the world-destruction demon wolf's true body combined with the power of law was unimaginable. Even a 5th-rank heaven mage like him couldn't bear it. If it wasn't for the short duration, He Hu would definitely exist in the heaven realm in the form of Hui Tailang's feces. Right now, his left arm and right leg had already disappeared without a trace. His skin was blood red, as if it was corroded by a strong acid. Some parts of his face and scalp had already corroded to the bones. The current him couldn't even maintain the state of heaven rank level 5. His power had weakened to heaven rank level 4. Huang Quan, Fun Tian and Yun Xing estimated that as long as Hui Tailang turned into the world-destruction demon wolf again and devoured him again, He Hu would be declared dead. The problem was, could it devour him again? "Hurry up and atone for your sins." Yu Yang kicked Hui Tailang and sent it flying. Howl, 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 howl. As Hui Tai Lang was sent flying, a pair of strange wings grew out from its back. At the same time, its body expanded rapidly and returned to its true form. Huang Quan and the others finally understood that Yu Clan's third young master did not kick it for real. It was to transfer some kind of power to stimulate Hui Tai Lang's potential, or to transfer some kind of power to it. In other words, as long as Yu Clan's third young master was around, this wolf could turn into a world-destruction demon wolf at any time. The truly terrifying thing was not this wolf, but Yu Clan's third young master. He who was scared out of his wits. This wolf was already abnormal enough to devour everything, but it could actually fly? He took advantage of the fact that the power of the ancient code enveloped his body and spat out a mouthful of black blood. The black blood turned into a clone that looked exactly like him. The real body instantly escaped and fell into the deep blue lake. Hui Tai Lang, who was in the sky, suddenly summoned a silver summoning grimoire. The clone flew out and directly swallowed He Hu's clone. Hui Tai Lang's real body also fell and chased after He Hu at high speed. The moment He Hu fell into the lake, it stretched out its sharp claws and fiercely scooped him out, as if it wanted to fish him out. Who would have thought that what it fished out was only an abyss manatee that could not dodge in time? The real He Hu had already escaped without a trace after returning to the lake formed by the domain. This made Hui Tai Lang extremely angry. It ruthlessly swallowed the abyss manatee, and crazily reached out its claws to fish. Amphibious fish demons and abyss manatees were all scooped out and flew into the sky. When it did that, everyone realized that something was wrong. There were not that many amphibious fish demons at the bottom of the lake. Could it be that they were opening a teleportation door at the bottom of the lake to summon their companions? Huang Quan and the others were the most anxious. Not good. He Hu wanted to escape. Now was the best time to kill him. If he escaped, it would not be so easy to kill him next time. The giant lowly rushed into the lake and copied Hui Tai Lang's actions to fish. In the end, all the monsters at the bottom of the lake scattered like ants on a hot pan and escaped to the shore. Only then did everyone realize that there were almost 1,000 monsters at the bottom of the lake. Fortunately, these monsters' levels were not high. Not many of them were heaven rank. Most of them were abyss monsters below heaven rank. Even the abyss manatees were not replenished. It seemed that the sea of abyss was rare, and not as many as one wanted. These abyss monsters came here to offer their lives as a sacrifice. Only by doing so could they summon a stronger king to help them. When Hui Tai Lang and the giant lowly made their move, the summoning of the life sacrifice was ruined. If not for the mistake, He Hu would have been able to summon stronger helpers. He Hu wants to escape, he wants to escape, Fan Tian shouted. He regretted that he could not go forward to help. Want to escape? It's not that easy. Yu Yang did not think that He Hu could escape from the prison emperor's 7 stars pillar. Ming Yu Guang was one of the 3 great leaders of the Western Heaven Realm. She was trapped for 6,000 years under the suppression of the prison emperor's 7 stars pillar and the prison emperor divine sword. He Hu wanted to come and go as he pleased? He must be dreaming. A ray of white light rose to the sky. In an instant, it twisted the prison emperor's 7 stars pillar's will into a ring. The white light shattered. He Hu, who was forcefully teleported away, fell painfully under the prison emperor's 7 stars pillar. In front of him was Yu Yang, who looked harmless on the outside. With regards to this result, Huang Quan and the others were not surprised, but they felt a chill in their hearts. Fighting with Yu Yang was too tragic. They couldn't win, and they couldn't even run away. Luckily they didn't attack him in the beginning, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. He Hu didn't have time to think too much. Seeing that Hui Tai Lang and the giant lowly were rushing towards him, he clenched his teeth, stepped on the ground with one leg and flew towards Yu Yang. As long as he could take down this brat, no matter how powerful the weapon was, it would be useless. Fight! He exhausted his life once again and exploded with the power of a heaven-ranked level 5. With his fastest speed, he pounced towards Yu Yang, preparing to capture him alive. Yu Yang did not retreat but took a step forward instead. The Wheel of Eternity, which he had formed at some point in time, appeared beneath his feet. Seeing the eternal wheel, He used all the control he had in his life to stop his body from charging forward. He immediately condensed an energy wave with one hand and attacked Yu Yang from a distance. Only he, the Water Elder who had the wave domain and could turn his body into water, could change his control to the last minute. If it was someone else, they would have been heavily injured and vomited blood. Little Wenli appeared behind He without a sound. She widened her eyes and unleashed her binding chain's inherent skill. In the 1/10 of a second that He was bound, Yu Yang had already swung the Prison Emperor Divine Sword, Princess Sisai, and slashed at He's only arm. The sword fell and the arm was broken. After He regained his freedom, the first thing he did was not to counterattack, but to escape. He who was at his peak still couldn't escape. Now that both his arms were broken and he only had one leg left, how could he escape? The giant Loli's speed was not as fast as Hui Tailang. She pulled out one of the Prison Emperor's 7 stars pillars from the ground and threw it at He. The strength of this throw could shake mountains. He activated his wave domain, and a blue wave splashed out from his body, using the water to disperse the force of the throw. The giant Loli was even more furious. She pulled out another pillar and threw it with all her might towards He's back. This time, when the Prison Emperor's 7 stars pillar hit He, Shui Wuxia's guardian beast, Blizzard Lady, cooperated and spat out a mouthful of extremely cold air, turning the blue wave into blue ice cubes. Boom! He was hit by the Prison Emperor's 7 stars pillar. Blood spurted out from his mouth like a fountain. Even with his heaven-ranked level 5 body, his tendons and bones were broken. Hui Tailang wanted to swallow He, but it was too late. He endured the pain and dodged left and right, not daring to let it get closer. Time was running out. The power of the ancient code was disappearing quickly, and Hui Tailang was shrinking quickly. The furious Hui Tailang took advantage of the last bit of the power of the ancient code. Its claws extended rapidly and struck fiercely, tearing a large piece of flesh from He's back. He was still escaping. He knew that he had lost this battle long ago. It was already a great victory for him to be able to escape with his life. The stone element Medusa's golden arrow arrived and nailed into his shoulder. Bits of grayish-white rock skin slowly spread from the spot where the arrow hit. In the sky, a golden lightning struck down and accurately hit the top of He's head. At the same time, 2 frost blades appeared and chased after He's remaining leg. Blood-colored ice shards splashed all over the sky. They had successfully hit He. Due to the difference in level and strength, their attacks were not able to display the greatest effect. Of course, any attack now would only make things worse for He. He was unable to withstand it. The heavily injured He could still escape. He used his leg to kick the air and ran for his life. He jumped out of the enemy's encirclement in an instant. He leapt into the sky. In the sky filled with dark clouds, there was a goddess-like figure. Her jade-like hand held a golden Prison Emperor Divine Seal as she descended like a fairy. The Prison Emperor Divine Seal flew out from her hand and cleverly hit He's face. Although the Prison Emperor Divine Seal's strongest sealing power could not be unleashed, the Prison Emperor Divine Seal's supreme power was enough to shatter the severely injured He's facial bones and cause him to faint and fall to the ground. Ah! He instinctively chose to land on the surface of the deep blue lake when he was dizzy. He hoped that the lake formed by his domain could be his last resort. Boom! Unknowingly, a thick layer of ice had formed on the surface of the deep blue lake. He's fall caused the entire ground to tremble. The entire blue lake was split into pieces, but he was still unable to return to the lake formed by his domain. The lake formed by his domain was already covered by a stream of water summoned by the storm mermaid. Although it was also a stream of water, the stream of water summoned by the storm mermaid was not under He-Hu's control at all. Instead, it became a kind of ice that was harder than iron. He-Hu, whose face was shattered and skull caved in, still wanted to struggle up. However, a big foot coldly stepped him back into the ice. At the last moment of his life, He-Hu vaguely heard a name, Shuang-Hua. He did not know that it was a person's name. It was even a type of beast. When the light struck his brain, his soul that could not think was slowly annihilated in the light. A sense of relief that he had never experienced before became eternal. Chapter 547. He-Hu died just like that? Huang Quan, Fan Tian and Yun Xing were in a daze. Although they witnessed the entire process, they still felt like they were in a dream. Yu Clan's third young master, who was not even a heaven-ranked, killed He-Hu, who was a heaven-ranked level 5. Who would believe this? Yet, it was the truth. Even though He-Hu had previously been attacked by Ji Zun, Night Empress and the others, and was continuously attacked by the world-exterminating demon wolf and the Western Heaven Realm's war guardian god, even the Yu Clan's third young master had to borrow 2 divine equipment and a mysterious sword chi energy to completely defeat He-Hu. However, Huang Quan and the rest still could not accept this fact. To them, people like Song Yen and He-Hu were once unreachable existences. The Central Palace's fire and water elders, what kind of people were they? In the entire Heaven Realm, he was one of the most powerful. Was He-Hu really dead? What are you guys still standing there for? If you don't have enough points, hurry up and kill. Song Yen will be back with a large group of helpers soon. Yu Yang saw Huang Quan and the rest staring blankly and could not help but sweat profusely. Did these people not have any sense of danger? Ah! Huang Quan and the rest seemed to have woken up from a dream. When they thought about it, they were instantly shocked. Not only them, even Elder Nan Gong and the Emperor of the Underworld pounced on the weakest amphibious fish demons. No matter what, they had to earn enough points to avoid being killed by the ancient laws. The ancient laws of the death arena did not care about the entire process. If they did not have enough points in the end, they would definitely be killed. The Emperor of the Underworld gave up on the Abyss Manatee. It was not something he could kill in a day or two. Of course, to be able to perfectly torture such a strong creature from the Heaven Realm, he was already very proud. There were many strong creatures in the Heaven Realm, but he was able to defeat the strong. This proved that it was not impossible to ascend to the Heaven Realm, it was just that he had not found the right time. Most importantly, after this battle, climbing to the innate Elder Realm was not as uncertain as before, it was just around the corner. At that time, he would definitely ascend to the Heaven Realm. The Abyss Manatees scattered. Their master, He-Hu, was dead and their backer had collapsed. The situation was hopeless, and there was nothing they could do to turn the situation around. As guards, they naturally slipped away as soon as possible. The Heaven-ranked Level 2 amphibious fish demons that were equivalent to innate Level 6 Earth-ranked Level 6 in the lower realm were in big trouble. They weren't like the innates in the lower realm. They didn't have summoning grimoires, nor did they have high intelligence. Once their master died, the whole clan panicked and fell into chaos. In addition, Huang Quan, Fan Tian, Yun Xing and the others focused on killing the weaker amphibious fish demons. Hence, the amphibious fish demons were completely doomed. I told you to spread the net. The three-eyed tiger man spun like the wind, his sharp claws tearing apart all enemies he touched. Charge cannon. The half-human, half-robot one had already lost half of its body, and various parts had fallen off. However, it was still a piece of cake for it to slaughter the amphibious fish demons and some weaker abyssal races. His energy cannon had instantly killed more than 10 enemies who had been utterly routed. Wang Jin of the Bone Clan was the slowest in killing enemies. When this skeleton had accumulated 100 points, everyone gathered around Yu Yang and prepared to bid farewell to him. Song Yen would return at any time, and he would definitely bring back the strong warriors from the central palace. The situation was critical, so no one was polite. Huang Quan waited for Wang Jin to rush over and nodded towards Yu Yang. "We are preparing to leave. Third young master, in the future when you go to the Heaven Realm, no matter when, Huang Quan will rush over and go through fire and water without a word. The entire Fire Clan will treat the warriors of the Soaring Dragon Continent as our distinguished guests, especially your people. We will treat them like family." Fun Tian was extremely grateful towards Yu Yang. "No discord, no concord. We will be brothers from now on." Yun Xing nodded his head heavily. "Cough, Wang Jin was defeated by you, I am convinced. I hope you can forget about the past. The Bone Clan is also your friend." Wang Jin of the Bone Clan quickly expressed his goodwill to Yu Yang. To be honest, if it wasn't for Yu Yang, they would have died in the death arena. They would definitely not have survived until now. Not only did the Yu Clan's third young master turn the tide, he even defeated the strong enemy He Hu, creating a chance for everyone to obtain points and survive. To put it bluntly, without him, the warriors of the three lower realms would have been dead. They would definitely not have been able to leave so easily. I, Three-Eyed, will not say much. If there is such a thing next time, count me in. It's too exciting. The Three-Eyed Tiger Man laughed out loud. The last light figure did not say anything, but he sincerely bowed to Yu Yang. Huang Quan and the rest used various teleportation scrolls to leave, announcing the end of the battle. The ancient code silently agreed there was no punishment. Huang Quan and the rest successfully left. The Emperor of the Underworld and the rest also rushed over. The Emperor of the Underworld, Elder Nan Gong, Southern Demon King, Impatience, Princess Sisai, Shui Wuxia and the rest not only obtained enough points, but also captured many amphibious fish demons. Actually, most of the amphibious fish demons surrendered. When they saw that things were not going well, they obediently crawled on the ground. Anyway, it was just changing masters. They would follow whichever master was stronger. They were originally a vassal clan. Although they had followed He Hu for a long time, their loyalty was not high. He Hu did not usually treat them well. Meteor shower. Night Empress' voice rang out. A miraculous change occurred in the starry sky domain. Countless stars rose into the sky. Those enemies who escaped more than 10 kilometers away suddenly saw countless meteors falling down like raindrops from the sky. Compared to Ji Zun's light of destruction, the power of this meteor shower was definitely inferior. However, in terms of attack range, Night Empress meteor shower was much further than Ji Zun's light of destruction. Moreover, the power of the meteors did not decrease at all when they were far away. These meteors did not matter if the target dodged or not. They all carried Night Empress will and locked onto the enemy. None of them were spared. Yu Yang was also dumbfounded by Night Empress' move. Wasn't Night Empress control a little too strong? This was a distance of more than 10 kilometers, not a dozen meters. Wu Xia, Qian, stand in the starry sky domain. Elder Nan Gong and the Emperor of the Underworld come over too. Yu Yang, go kill those bull monsters. Ji Zun faced the southeast direction and raised her hand proudly. You guys who hide your heads but show your tails. Do you want me to drag you out with my own hands? Although I don't understand why the Soaring Dragon Continent could give birth to such a strong warrior, but you are indeed very strong, I am very surprised. A giant whose entire body was covered in raging flames, whose face could not be seen clearly, appeared in the empty area in the southeast. Only when he appeared did Yu Yang, who had the Heaven Eye's divine vision, realize that this flame giant was approaching. From this, it could be seen that this flame giant's strength was far beyond Yu Yang's observation range. The other one, are you not going to show yourself? Ji Zun turned her face to the southwest again. That's right. Song Yen said that a few interesting warriors had come to the soaring dragon continent. I didn't dare to believe it, but I didn't expect it to be true. Haha, looks like I can have some fun. Don't die too early. I haven't met such an interesting opponent in 1,000 years. In the southwest, a dark blue man who looked like a human appeared. However, he emitted a blazing heat. When he appeared, Yu Yang and the others felt as if their bodies were being roasted. Although he was floating in the air, the ground around him had melted into red lava. On the other hand, the flame giant didn't have such a strange phenomenon. As if she was explaining to Yu Yang and the others, Night Empress's voice sounded softly. Although we don't know if these two belong to the Central Palace, they are heaven-ranked level 6. They should be well-known figures in the heaven realm. Together with Song Yen, it looks like our battle will be very difficult. The flame giant waved his hand and said with certainty, "No, it won't be difficult. You will be free very soon." Elder Nan Gong and Emperor of the Underworld didn't speak. They silently entered Yu Yang's grimoire world. Southern Demon King wanted to say a few more words to Yu Yang, but impatience pulled her back. With a little reluctance, Southern Demon King also returned to Yu Yang's grimoire world under Little One Li's guidance. Originally, she wanted to tell him to be careful, but she was afraid that it would distract him. Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai also hugged Yu Yang and quickly returned to the grimoire world. They knew that the real enemy was coming and they couldn't fight against it. Other than Ji Zun and Night Empress, Yu Yang probably had to be 100% focused. If he wasn't careful, he would be instantly killed by the enemy. Shui Wuxia really wanted to call Qilin Girl to protect Yu Yang. Unfortunately, Qilin Girl was an immortal beast and wouldn't interfere with Yu Yang's actions. She would only attack if his life was in danger. Bloody Queen Red, Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen Duo, Barbarian Cow Shadow Aman, Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying and the others who were cleaning up the battlefield all returned. Other than Little One Li, there was only Hui Tai Lang by Yu Yang's side. The giant lowly with the strength of Heaven Stage Level 3 wanted to stay, but Yu Yang glared at her and scolded her. "Nonsense, if you don't go back, see if I don't spank your little butt." "Bad brother." The giant lowly was shocked. She hurriedly covered her butt with both hands and rushed back. She even made a face before disappearing. Even Ji Zun was speechless at her actions. She knew that Yu Yang was charming. For the mature ladies, it was just SOSO and not too exaggerated. But for those pure-hearted little Lolas, this kid was simply an invincible existence. She had never seen any little loli who didn't like him. This could be considered as one of his characteristics. Other than him, who else could control the giant loli of the ancient Titan? Song Yen appeared. He had now regained his suave appearance, as if he had received the best treatment. Golden curly hair fluttered over his shoulders. That arrogant face reappeared, no longer in a sorry state after being burnt by the light of destruction. Song Yen, who had left and returned, frowned and sized up the battlefield. He asked with some doubt, "Where's He Hu?" Song Yen felt that He Hu must have used his materialized domain to escape through the teleportation circle at the bottom of the lake. But before that, he must have fought a very miserable battle. Since Ji Zun and Night Empress didn't have any injuries, He Hu had suffered a great loss. Moreover, the opponent still had some strength left. If not for the two strong reinforcements, Song Yen would definitely not have returned. Because, no matter if it was Ji Zun with terrifying attack power or the mysterious Night Empress, they were not to be trifled with. Of course, Song Yen didn't forget Yu Yang, the human with shocking killing power. That unique nirvana flame was unforgettable. Nonsense. Yu Yang didn't bother with Song Yen at all. He took out the god-killing dagger and rushed towards the abyss manatees that survived the meteor shower. "That brat is the new prison emperor?" The blue-haired man who was emitting heat asked. "Master Yen Zong and Master Yen Zun, the truly terrifying one is this woman." Other than being weak in close combat, she is very strong in other areas. She also has a very special ability that can easily shatter void and condense it into particles. Song Yen looked at Yu Yang. He didn't understand. He was already at death's door. Why did this brat still run to kill manatees? Tianluan, Qianyi and Wu Sei, are they all right? The flame giant suddenly opened his mouth and asked the three unfamiliar names. Ji Zun didn't answer. Could it be that the strongest warriors of the soaring dragon continent, Heaven's Stairway and Demon Abyss are all dead? The blue-haired man was pleasantly surprised. Tianluan, Qianyi and Wu Sei are nothing. My other teacher is Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li. Yu Yang flew back with a whooshing sound. Song Yen, the flame giant and the man whose entire body was emitting a high temperature couldn't help but jump in fright. Song Yen even had the urge to escape. However, seeing that the flame giant and the blue-haired man didn't move, he suppressed his fear and continued to stay. Yu Yang laughed coldly in his heart. Hee, I can't scare you to death. Chapter 548. Hearing the name Queen Vivian Li, they were shocked. Although they pretended to be fine on the surface. However, even a blind person could see the fear and shock in Song Yen and the others' eyes. With regards to Yu Yang's words, not to mention the flame giant and the blue scorching man who just arrived, even Song Yen did not doubt it. After all, only a strong person like Queen Vivian Li could teach a disciple like Yu Yang. Only this could explain the origin of Yu Clan's third young master's abnormal strength. On the other side, Ji Zun and Night Empress did not feel anything when they heard it. This was because Queen Vivian Li's reputation had long disappeared in history. She was a strong person from 10,000 years ago. Other than Heaven Realm, there were no records of her existence in Tong Tian Tower. Even Ji Zun and Night Empress weren't familiar with the three seniors, Tianluan, Qianyi, and Wu Sei. They only knew of these prehistoric powerhouses in some historical records. 6,000 years of history was enough to annihilate a lot of their glory. These must have been human experts who were once famous in the Heaven Realm. However, as time passed, everything in Tong Tian Tower had already changed. Song Yen, go and kill that brat. The flame giant assigned Song Yen a task, which was to kill Yu Yang. Lord Yenzong, Song Yen will definitely follow your lead. Song Yen seemed to be obeying orders on the surface, but he cursed in his heart. If Yu Yang was really Queen Vivian Li's disciple, and he killed him, Queen Vivian Li would come to Heaven Realm after hearing the news. Would the Central Palace offend the Demon Abyss Empress, who once swept the entire Heaven Realm just to protect a small fire element elder like him? Absolutely impossible. Although the name of the fire element elder was big, it was not worth much. The Central Palace's inner palace and outer palace had as many as 6 sects affiliated with the fire element. Among them, the strongest were the Skyfire God sect and the Divine Flame sect, which had been enemies for tens of thousands of years. If it weren't for the rise of the Heavenly Flame Palace, which he belonged to 3,000 years ago, and the conflict between the Skyfire God sect and the Divine Flame sect, the position of the Elder of the Fire Department in the Central Palace would not have been his turn. If he fell, the disciples of Skyfire sect and Divine Flame sect would probably clap their hands in celebration. Besides, even if Queen Vivian Li did not come out for 10,000 years, her prestige would not diminish. As long as Her Majesty the Serpent Demon Empress returned to the Heaven Realm, who knows how many of her former subordinates and comrades would follow her. If she heard the news and came to Heaven Realm, the Central Palace would probably send his head to her to appease this ultimate warrior. Compared to an expert like Empress Fei Wenli, he wasn't even an ant. He was extremely insignificant. Thinking of this, Song Yen felt a chill in his heart. He had made up his mind to follow Yen Zong and Yen Zun. If they killed Ji Zun and Night Empress, he would also kill the Yu Clan's third young master. As long as everyone was dead, Queen Vivian Li would not know that he was the one who did it. In this way they could get rid of Yu Yang, who was a huge threat, and at the same time, they could curry favor with Yen Zong and Yen Zun. After all, these two old fellows had the highest status in the Heavenly Flame Palace, other than the Palace Master. On the other hand, if they did not make a move, he must not make a move. Otherwise, he would be the scapegoat who would die the worst death. No matter what, he should not provoke Queen Vivian Li, who was an ultimate warrior that he would never be able to defeat. The more Tsang Yen looked at Yu Yang, the more he felt that he was Queen Vivian Li's disciple. The reason was simple. If not for Queen Vivian Li, who was an ultimate warrior, protecting him, how would he dare to be so arrogant? When he was at Heaven Rank Level 3, he was still trembling with fear and didn't even dare to let out a fart. When he reached Heaven Rank Level 5 and was nominated as the Central Palace's Outer Palace Fire Elder, he barely dared to raise his head. Flame Giant Yen Zong also felt that Yu Yang was not simple. He was not even heaven-ranked, yet he dared to attack Heaven Realm? What a joke! Was Heaven Realm a tavern? He could come and go as he pleased? Without the protection of a warrior like Queen Vivian Li, he would not dare to chase after Yu Yang even if he had the guts to fill a water tank. As for Yen Zun, who was emitting a high temperature, he felt a headache when he saw Yu Yang using his world-exterminating wheel to kill the heavily injured Abyss Manatee. It should not be difficult to kill this brat. The problem was, if he was really Queen Vivian Li's disciple, then it would be troublesome. Forget it, let's pretend that we did not see him. The three of them pretended that they did not see Yu Yang. Anyway, it was better to avoid trouble. If they could avoid provoking Queen Vivian Li, then they would not seek death for no reason. Offending an ultimate warrior like Queen Vivian Li would not be as simple as a few people dying. The whole Tianyan Palace might be exterminated. We have fought enough for today. Come back and pack up, we will go back. Ji Zun seemed like she wanted to continue fighting, but after some consideration, she decided to stop. Who? Yen Zong, Yen Zun and Tsang Yen relaxed. Luckily the other party retreated. If the other party had fought till the end, it would be troublesome. Wait for me. Yu Yang slowly used his Nirvana flame to refine an Abyss Manatee's magic crystal. The two Abyss Manatees that were still alive were so scared that they immediately surrendered to him, even though the flame giant Yen Zong and the others were still around. On top of Yu Yang's head, the fire phoenix had already flown into the sky. What did its appearance signify? The two Abyss Manatees knew very well that if they did not surrender, they would die. Seeing the fire phoenix that was formed by Yu Yang's Nirvana flame, Yen Zong and Yen Zun were so jealous that their hearts were bleeding. They had the urge to kill themselves. In the entire Heaven Realm, the Nirvana flame that every fire-type ranker yearned for but could not obtain actually appeared on this human brat. This made the Fire God Sect, Divine Flame Sect, Tianyan Palace and other fire-type rankers who had been pursuing the Nirvana path for thousands of years feel extremely embarrassed. In the past, when their master taught them the Nirvana flame, he said that as long as one pursued the Nirvana path in one's heart, one would definitely obtain the approval of the Nirvana flame. Turns out that all pursuits were just illusions. Yen Zong and Yen Zun felt their hearts break. If no one was watching, they would probably cry out loud. The Nirvana path that they had been pursuing for thousands of years, the ultimate flame that they had been pursuing, was just a beautiful dream that they had just woken up from due to the appearance of the Nirvana flame. The two fire-type rankers, Yen Zong and Yen Zun, felt a little embarrassed. Especially in front of Tsang Yen, they could not put on airs as seniors. Tsang Yen did not mention about Yu Yang's Nirvana flame previously. Instead, he emphasized on how powerful Ji Zun was. Otherwise, they would not have come here. Rankers who possessed the Nirvana flame had the Nirvana body. How could they be killed so easily? Even if they were killed, the Nirvana flame could reconstruct their owner's body. Before they could completely destroy the other party's soul, it would be a waste of effort. No wonder Queen Vivian Li allowed this brat to kill his way up to the heaven realm. There were not many people who could kill him. Since you are here, it would be against the Master's rules if I did not invite our esteemed guest from the soaring dragon continent to stay for a while. Flame giant Yen Zong decided to save some face. Even if he could not kill the other party, he could at least defeat him. Otherwise, once the news spread and warriors from the soaring dragon continent came to the heaven realm, Tian Yen Palace would not dare to accept the challenge. Then, as the revered elder of Tian Yen Palace, he would lose all face. Let me treat this esteemed guest to a cup of tea. Yen Zun with the dim blue body had the same thought. Song Yen pretended not to see Yu Yang, who took out the demon-subduing tower, and forced the two abyss manatees to enter. Yu Yang did not want to be so high-profile at first. He had his reasons. Firstly, he did not want the abyss manatees to escape. He had to keep the fact that he had grasped the power of the ancient code a secret. He also had to keep He Hu's death a secret. Secondly, he could not bear to part with the abyss manatees. Although they were not very smart, they were intelligent. Furthermore, they were heaven-ranked level 2. If he captured them and brought them back to the soaring dragon continent to guard the gate, they would definitely be safe. Thirdly, he wanted to test the use of the demon-subduing tower. Yu Yang had never had the chance to use the demon-subduing tower. In the past, he did not have such a strong opponent. But it was different now. No matter if it was the Black Hell King or the Scarlet Emperor, they needed to be sealed. Yu Yang was worried that these two fellows might not die successfully. They were also good at sealing, so the demon-subduing tower was his first choice. He wanted to test it on the abyss manatees. If the effect was good, then he could try to put the ancient slaughterer Beast King and the 20 over ancient slaughterers inside. The two abyss manatees actually hoped that Yen Zong, Yen Zun and Song Yen would save them. The problem was that the three of them pretended to be blind. They could only enter the demon-subduing tower in despair and submit to their new master. They did not want to die. No matter if it was the world-exterminating wheel or the nirvana flame, they did not want to be hit by them. Once these things were used, it would mean that they would die forever and they would never be able to revive again. Their master, He Hu, was dead. Loyalty and oaths were all nonsense. Now, their only hope was that their master would treat them better. A golden light flashed. The two abyss manatees looked at their surroundings reluctantly. At the last moment, they even looked at Song Yen hopefully. No matter what, this fellow was their master's companion in the past. For the sake of comrade in arms, could they help this old manatee out? Song Yen looked up at the sky and expressed that he was just a bystander who did not understand what was going on. The two abyss manatees cried, "Get in. If it wasn't because I have nothing better to do, I wouldn't even care about you two." Yu Yang kicked the two pitiful abyss manatees' butt. The two abyss manatees wanted to cry out loud. They were under someone else's roof, so they had no choice but to lower their heads. They could only enter the demon-subduing tower dejectedly. They realized that they had to enter the demon-subduing tower themselves. Their new master did not even open a teleportation door and only left a narrow space gap that was as narrow as a dog's hole. Instantly, they felt even more miserable about their own fate. Of course, they did not know that Yu Yang did not know how to open the demon-subduing tower. Yen Zong and Yen Zun decided to join forces and teach these three humans a lesson. Firstly, it was to test their strength, and secondly, it was to gain some face for themselves. That's right, Queen Vivian Lee's disciple was arrogant, but he was still a heaven-ranked level 6 ranker. If he were to lower his head to him, he would not be able to stay in the heaven realm anymore. He would definitely become the biggest laughingstock in the heaven realm. Prairie fire! Flaming giant Yen Zong waved his hand and released a vast sea of purplish gold flames. Jizun did not move. All the flames bounced off the energy barrier around her. Just like Song Yan's attack, it was completely ineffective. Night Empress, who was in the starry sky domain, only used the southern dipper to block all the heavenly fire. Only Yu Yang was in a sorry state. He was burned by the heavenly fire and almost suffocated. Yen Zong was not happy about Yu Yang's sorry state. Instead, he was secretly angry, because he had purposely attracted the heavenly fire to burn his body. Because he was forcefully devouring Yen Zong's heavenly fire energy. After being burned by Yen Zong's heavenly fire and continuously fusing with the Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus, the power of the Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus had increased greatly. Furthermore, most of the heavenly fire that had not been fused, under the purification of the Nirvana flame, became a type of flame of twilight that Yen Zong had been unable to achieve for 1,000 years. The flame of twilight was a type of heavenly fire that surpassed the limits of fire energy, from the extreme yang to the extreme yin. Yen Zong had been yearning to advance the heavenly fire for 1,000 years, but had never been able to do so. Today, Yu Yang only needed a few minutes to refine it. It was successfully achieved. Even without the Nirvana flame, Yu Yang was just a Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus with an oppressive will. If he were to fuse with the flame of twilight, then his fire energy would surpass Yen Zong, who had cultivated for thousands of years. This kind of ruthless face-slapping action made Yen Zong lose all face. He was so embarrassed that he almost went crazy. Chapter 549. What made Yen Zong want to vomit blood was that this brat gave most of the flame of twilight to a beast he summoned. Spirit of Earth Fire. Seeing the Spirit of Earth Fire, a beast, crazily devouring the dark cloud sky's flame that he couldn't get even after working hard for 1,000 years, Yen Zong had the urge to slap himself. If he knew this would happen, why would he attack him with heaven fire? He was just asking to be humiliated. Yen Zong regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If not for his heaven fire, who knows when this brat would be able to comprehend the flame of twilight? Wasn't he helping him improve for free? Yen Zong was shocked at the tragedy of Yen Zong's probing. If he was not careful, he would be in trouble too. He decided to be smart and not provoke the disciple of Empress Fei Wenli. Maybe that brat had a divine weapon protecting him. In the end, even if he tried his best, he would not be able to hurt him. That would be too embarrassing. A woman with starry sky domain should be good at controlling. It would be hard to fight against a warrior like him. On the other hand, Song Yen had said that this human girl was an expert in using the light of destruction and shattering the void to condense particles. She should be a long-range combatant, and his close combat type was a perfect counter to her. Moreover, she was the strongest one here, so if he defeated her, he would gain a lot of face. Most importantly, this woman defeated He Hu, Song Yen and the rest. If he defeated her, Central Palace's evaluation of him would increase. After making up his mind, Yen Zong started to increase his power. Seeing Yen Zong's tragic ending, Yen Zong, who had the pure blue fire form, did not dare to be careless. He only stopped when he reached the peak of heaven rank level 5. He was even stronger than Song Yen at his strongest. The flame reverend's pure blue body of Jiuhua emitted an even more terrifying heat. The ground and rocks beneath his feet melted continuously as the blood-red lava expanded rapidly. In the end, it formed a shallow lava lake that bubbled and churned like boiling water. Even so, Yen Zong did not attack immediately. He summoned a few mirror venomous flame worms, and like silver mirrors, they floated around the pure fire blue body and rotated automatically. Although it was unable to completely offset the energy of the light of destruction, these mirror venomous flame worms should be able to withstand most of the light energy after their mirror transformation. As for those destructive particles, Yen Zun did not know what kind of attack it was. If it was a penetrative attack, he would be fine with it. That was because the pure blue fire form was not a physical body, but a special flame. Even if it was cut into 1,000 pieces, it would instantly recover to its original state. Ordinary attacks would never be able to harm the pure blue fire form. However, the pure blue fire form would suffer double the damage from Nirvana's flame and Wheel of Destruction energy attacks that could purify and destroy everything in the world. Because of this, Yen Zun was unwilling to face Yu Yang. He hated to face an opponent who had the power of a divine weapon. Blood-sobbing wings. On the other side, Ji Zun gracefully bit her index finger. He used his blood to draw an ancient rune circle on the body of the little blood-winged angel. Even Yu Yang was stunned by the mysteriousness of it. Ji Zun was also leveling up. This was the first time she had leveled up since the battle started. She quickly leveled up from innate to innate elder level 1. After a slight pause, she leveled up to innate elder level 2, then innate elder level 3. At this moment, she was much stronger than the heaven-ranked level 3 Huang Quan. Yu Yang felt that compared to Ji Zun, his foundation was still lacking. She had basically reached the perfect extreme state. Her energy was pure and flawless. As the energy condensed, it carried a unique will that suppressed all living beings. Even the legendary goddess could not compare to her. Song Yan's expression changed instantly. Although Ji Zun was only heaven-ranked level 3, he had a feeling that she was undefeatable. This Ji Zun definitely had some strength left. She was just hiding it. Did she really think that she could fight against Yen Zun, who was already at the peak of heaven-ranked level 5 with her heaven-ranked level 3 strength? Other than being superior in terms of level and power, Yen Zun also possessed the pure blue fire form, which rendered the destructive ray and the destructive black pieces ineffective. Even if Ji Zun had other attacks, Yen Zun still had a trump card. Therefore, Yen Zun would definitely not lose. If there was a bet, Yen Tsang would bet 100% on Yen Zun winning. Yu Yang kept the spirit of earth fire and flew into Night Empress Starry Sky domain. He was expressionless and solemn. The little blood-winged angel that received Ji Zun's blood grew up slowly. Within a minute, she became the size of a human. Her 6 blood-red wings flapped slightly. She had also leveled up to innate level 10. Of course, she was actually a beast and a diamond level 9 blood-winged angel. There was still a lot of room for improvement, but her strength was close to Ji Zun. She was as strong as the Sky Emperor or the Emperor of the Underworld. Blood-winged angel pulled out the holy sword from her waist and held it in front of her chest. She slowly closed her eyes and stroked it with her left hand. The sharp sword chi cut through her white and tender skin. A beautiful blood mark appeared on the holy sword. It looked like a beautiful rainbow. Countless colorful lights blossomed on the holy sword and gathered on the blood-winged angel's body. She grew further and quickly became a 3-meter-tall female giant. Even Yu Yang could not understand why Ji Zun brought this blood-winged angel along. No matter how strong this blood-winged angel was, she would not be able to reach heaven rank. Her existence would only be a burden to Ji Zun and would not be of any help. Why did Ji Zun insist on bringing her along? Yu Yang wanted to ask the Night Empress, but he was afraid of revealing Ji Zun's secret. As long as it was done by Ji Zun, Yu Yang was willing to believe her. She would definitely not do something stupid. Although Yu Yang did not understand, he decided to believe her. One strike to determine the winner. Yen Zun was also very confused, but he could not see through his opponent's secret. He could only unleash his full strength and strike with all his might. A heat wave that could burn the sky rushed towards him. Yen Zun, who possessed the heavenly blue flame form, under the protection of the mirror fireworm and the help of a special beast, raised his fist and charged towards Ji Zun as fast as lightning. The aura of this punch was unparalleled. He attacked with all his might. Yen Zun did not put up any defense. He believed that his pure blue flame form could defend against all the attacks of his opponent. His opponent was a long-range combatant and was most afraid of close combat. Yen Zun was confident that he could destroy the shield that could deflect everything with one punch. There was no such thing as an impenetrable shield in the world, and there was no enemy that could not be killed. As long as the energy was strong enough, A city or even a country could be destroyed instantly. The human body was the weakest among all the races. Close combat was always the tragedy of the weak. Night Empress, who possessed the starry sky domain, summoned the stars of Aries and Taurus. Although she protected Yu Yang and herself, the fire energy from Yen Zun's punch still forced the entire starry sky domain to retreat 1,000 meters away. Compared to the suppression of Tsang Yan's trap domain, the power of Yen Zun's punch was more than 100 times stronger. And this was just the fire energy from the punch. How much pressure was Ji Zun, who was facing Yen Zun's full-force attack? Yu Yang could not imagine it. Fool! Ji Zun suddenly tilted her body slightly and shook her head, dodging Yen Zun's fatal punch. She immediately counterattacked. Her right palm faced upwards and deflected Yen Zun's other punch. Her left palm pressed on Yen Zun's face. The expression on Yen Zun's face changed a few times in a second. First, he was shocked. His punch that locked onto his opponent with his aura actually missed. He was shocked. Secondly, he was surprised. His left fist, which he had hurriedly thrown out, had been parried by his opponent, leaving him wide open. How could he not be surprised that such a mysterious close-range combat technique appeared on a long-range combat-type human female? There was a third expression. When Ji Zun's left palm pressed on his face to counterattack. His expression was one of disdain. Yen Zun, who possessed the pure blue flame form, was least afraid of close combat. Unless he used a divine weapon, Nirvana Flame or World Exterminating Wheel, normal attacks were completely ineffective. Kaboom! Yen Zun was pressed onto the ground by Ji Zun. His entire body sunk into the rocks. While he was still in a daze, Ji Zun lifted Yen Zun up and threw him far away. After throwing him for at least 2,000 meters, Yen Zun landed on the ground with a loud bang. He was unable to stand for a long time. This scene not only shocked Song Yen and Yen Zong, even Yu Yang was dumbfounded. Meow, what was going on? Night Empress seemed to be able to hear Yu Yang's doubts. She explained softly. Actually, Ji Zun is a close combat warrior. She is most proficient in combat techniques. Yu Yang felt like he was going to faint. Ji Zun's most powerful skill was not the light of destruction or the black pieces, but her close combat techniques? If he did not witness the entire process of Yen Zun being sent flying, Yu Yang would not dare to believe it. Song Yen was even more shocked. Luckily he did not make a move just now. Otherwise, he would be the one who was smashed to the ground. He did not have the pure blue fire form like Yen Zun. He might have been torn apart by Ji Zun. Song Yen swore that he would never fight with Ji Zun ever again. In the future, whenever he saw her, he would immediately run far away. It was too scary to fight with such a woman. He was simply looking for trouble. This is impossible. Yen Zun's face was deformed. One of his front teeth was broken and blue blood was flowing out. His voice was a little weak and filled with fear. Your hand cannot hit me. My body is the pure blue fire form. I am immune to all attacks. Unless it is a divine equipment, nothing can hurt me. Pure blue fire form? Ji Zun opened her palm. There were blisters on it. She was injured. Yu Yang felt a sudden pain in his heart. He jumped out and grabbed her hand, infusing his innate qi into her to heal her. Ji Zun was stunned. She blushed slightly, but it quickly disappeared. She struggled out of Yu Yang's hand and signaled him to step aside. It's just a small injury. It's nothing. Yu Yang was also shocked at his own bravery. He actually dared to touch her hand? If it was in the past, he would definitely not have dared to do so. It seemed like after he pushed down the impatience and the others and became a real man, his lust had increased a lot. I thought it was Sky Law just now. Yu Yang pretended to be ignorant and replied. He snuck back into the starry sky domain as he savored the beauty of Ji Zun's hand. Unforgivable! Yen Zun was furious. He, who was defeated in one move, immediately raised his power to the highest realm. The battle started again. This time, not only Yen Zun, even the flaming giant Yen Zong suddenly attacked. Yen Zun was as crazy as a lion. He used all his strength to charge forward and attack furiously. Yen Zong was at the side, sneakily like a venomous snake. Chapter 550. Yu Yang focused all his attention on the battle. Even though he was anxious, he believed in Ji Zun. Night Empress did the same. Yen Zun, who possessed the pure blue fire body, was like an ordinary person in a fit of rage. He waved his fists in a frenzy and gave up on any form of defense. The loss of his previous move did not affect his confidence in facing his enemy. The fire giant Yen Zong, who had launched a sneak attack, gathered all his power and punched out fiercely. Yu Yang's heart skipped a beat. "It's okay, Ji Zun can do it." Night Empress comforted Yu Yang secretly. She wanted him to stay in the starry sky domain. If Yu Yang were to rush out at this moment, it would affect Ji Zun's performance. Ji Zun's slender hand gestured as she miraculously guided Yen Zong's flame fist towards Yen Zun's fist aura. A combat technique that Yu Yang had never seen before was displayed by her slender hand. It was similar to Yu Yang's memory of pushing 1,000 caddies with Little Liang, but it also had a kind of guidance. The entire battle seemed to be under Ji Zun's command. Yen Zong and Yen Zun's fists collided. The two collided and created an earth-shattering explosion. When Yu Yang saw it, his heart was filled with joy. Ji Zun was indeed powerful. Her level might not be as high as Yen Zong and Yen Zun, but the ingenuity of her technique was enough to make up for the difference in level and power. Speaking of flaws, Ji Zun did not have a divine weapon to protect her body. It was slightly imperfect. If she had a powerful divine weapon, it would be amazing. If Ji Zun had a divine weapon, she would probably beat the crap out of Yen Zong and Yen Zun, who were at heaven-ranked level 6. The only thing that puzzled Yu Yang was that the blood-winged angel summoned by Ji Zun was not effective. What was the use of the blood-winged angel? "No, it's dangerous," Night Empress suddenly screamed. Yu Yang was thinking. Hearing those words, Zhang Xian took a closer look, and his heart immediately jolted. The clash between Yen Zong and Yen Zun in front of him and the huge explosion that occurred froze strangely. It was like a video that was stuck, unable to flash. The entire space stopped moving. In other words, the Big Bang was still going on, but it was 100 times slower than ant. It was impossible to see it spreading with the naked eye. The movements of Ji Zun inside seemed to be in slow motion. She seemed to want to defend against some enemy, but her reaction speed was greatly slowed down by that inexplicable power. The enemy must have used some kind of treasure, possibly a Saint Tier treasure, or even a Divine Tier treasure to control the entire battlefield. A figure shot out from Yen Zong's gigantic body. His speed was as fast as lightning as he threw out a punch. Ji Zun reacted, but it was too slow. Although she managed to evade, her opponent's fist was still hurtling towards her. The heavy blow landed on her back, which was not protected by any armor. Ji Zun was hit by the fist. Fresh blood danced in the air like cherry blossoms. It splattered and dyed the ground red. Yu Yang's eyes were about to split open as he watched. He felt a buzzing sound in his head, as if someone had hit him with a stick. His soul seemed to have been shattered by something, and an uncontrollable berserk power crazily erupted. He flew out of the starry sky domain and rushed over to help Ji Zun. Initially, he was as fast as a shooting star. However, when he was 100 meters away from the battlefield, he realized that there was a strange power controlling the center of the battlefield. Yu Yang's body stopped for a moment. Even if he flew at full speed, with the help of the violent power, he was only a little faster than a snail. Just as Yu Yang was about to go crazy, Night Empress had already caught up. She pressed her jade-like palm on his back and shouted, "Go!" A gigantic star exploded behind Yu Yang. The power of the explosion greatly reduced the strange power that stopped him. Countless star fragments opened up a path in front of Yu Yang. Even more star power wrapped around Yu Yang and shot towards Ji Zun's direction at high speed like a comet returning. The shadow punched again. Ji Zun's speed was not fast enough and she could not defend herself. She could only choose to turn and dodge the second punch. The shadow did not let her off easily. Not only did he rain down punches, he also kicked towards Ji Zun's lower abdomen. He wanted to kill Ji Zun before Yu Yang could reach her. Shake! Ji Zun spread her limbs and made an action that emitted the light of destruction. The light of destruction did not explode. Instead, it forcefully sent the shadow flying 100 meters away. Yu Yang brushed past the shadow that was sent flying. When he rushed to Ji Zun's side, he saw Yan Zong and Yan Zun attacking Ji Zun's arms together. If not for the strange power that slowed down Ji Zun's movements, the two punches would definitely be ineffective. Ji Zun, who was good at borrowing strength to fight back, would not have fought them head-on. However, the stagnant power caused Ji Zun to be unable to react and use her combat skills. She could only take it head-on with her hands. How powerful would the combined attack of two heaven-ranked level 6 heaven rankers be? Yu Yang could not estimate. After Ji Zun took the attack head-on, her injuries immediately worsened. Blood spurted out from her cherry lips again. Yu Yang had finally arrived at this moment, desperately protecting Ji Zun under his body. "You're courting death," the shadow sneered. He, Yan Zong and Yan Zun immediately surrounded Yu Yang and Ji Zun. They attacked with heavy punches, intending to turn Ji Zun and Yu Yang into minced meat and kill them. "Get lost!" Yu Yang went berserk. A power of the ancient code that could destroy the world exploded from his body. The power of the card of fate was at its peak. The oppressive power turned the three people who surrounded them into targets that were pressed onto the ground. The strange power that controlled the battlefield was like an eggshell, causing the power of the ancient code on Yu Yang's body to explode and shatter. There was a golden giant that looked exactly like Yu Yang. It grew a few meters, tens of meters, then hundreds of meters. Its head was in the sky and its feet were on the ground. It kept growing. No one could raise their heads. No one could see how tall it was. They only knew that it was definitely more than 1,000 meters. When the golden giant was growing crazily, little Wenli, who floated out from Yu Yang's body, also had the same golden shadow growing on her body. Even taller than Hui Tailang, a perfectly mature Xiao Wenli, or rather, a golden lamia that looked almost exactly the same as Empress Fei Wenli, waved her golden arms angrily and slapped the sneak attacker away. Something even stranger happened. Under Yu Yang's body, on the injured Ji Zun's body, a huge golden female giant was also born. The golden female giant was initially confused, as though she couldn't believe that it was real. However, the golden female giant reacted very quickly. When the golden female snake demoness slapped the shadow away, she immediately took over and grabbed the shadow that was sneak attacking her. She squeezed hard and slammed it hard onto the ground. That was not all. At the moment when the shadow fell onto the ground and exploded, the golden female giant, who looked like Ji Zun, actually bent down and reached out her hand. She directly dug the shadow out from the ground and threw it thousands of meters away together with the soil. The shadow pierced through the ground that was almost 100 meters deep and created a huge crater that was scarier than a meteor crater. Although Grey Wolf's reaction was fast, its speed of reinforcement was far slower than the ever-changing changes on the battlefield. When it charged over and turned into a 100-meter world-exterminating demonic wolf, the nomological powers on Yu Yang's body had already started to disappear. The golden giant that was more than 1,000 meters tall quickly faded. It turned into a shadow and disappeared. Before Yu Yang's energy was depleted and he fainted, he instinctively took out the three-realm compass. Before he could activate it and bring everyone back to Tong Tian Tower, he had already fainted in Ji Zun's arms. Rumble! When the strange, stagnant power disappeared, Ji Zun regained her freedom. The furious Ji Zun didn't let Yen Zong and Yen Zun go. She controlled the golden female giant with her thoughts, and slapped Yen Zong and Yen Zun to the ground like she was swatting flies. As Yu Yang fainted, the nomological powers on his body completely disappeared. The golden lamia that appeared on little Wen Li's body and the golden female giant that appeared on Ji Zun's body instantly disappeared without a trace. Only Grey Wolf, whose body had turned into a giant, managed to maintain it for a little longer. It didn't have time to descend to the ground. In midair, it spat out a giant dark energy ball towards Yen Zong and Yen Zun. Yen Zong and Yen Zun, who were in a sorry state, obviously didn't dare to take Grey Wolf's attack head-on. They immediately split up and escaped. As for Tsang Yen, who was watching the battle from afar, he was so scared that his legs were trembling and his teeth were chattering. He almost peed his pants. It was too scary. Luckily he didn't sneak an attack, otherwise he would definitely be dead. Yu Yang's body could actually explode with nomological powers. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't control it, it would be a fool's dream for him to survive. Compared to the nomological powers, Tsang Yen, who was at heaven-ranked level 5, was like a grain of sand in the ocean. He was even smaller. Yen Zong and Yen Zun were both heaven-ranked level 6 seniors. In front of the opponent's nomological powers, they were just a joke. If it wasn't for Yu Yang fainting, they wouldn't be in such a sorry state right now. Ji Zun could probably kill them however she wanted. As for that shadow, Tsang Yen didn't know who it was. He also didn't know when this fellow hid in Yen Zong's body of flames to launch a sneak attack. He only knew that this fellow used a sinister trick and used the legendary body-securing pearl. That fellow probably wanted to use the body-securing pearl to freeze Ji Zun's body before killing her. He didn't expect Ji Zun to still be able to move under the effects of the body-securing pearl. He didn't manage to kill her and even allowed Yu Yang's nomological powers to shatter the body-securing pearl. The legendary supreme holy item that was close to a divine weapon, the body-securing pearl. It shattered just like that. This was the power of the nomological powers. Tsang Yen realized that when the golden giant appeared on Yu Yang's body, he couldn't raise his head at all. Under the suffocating pressure, he could barely see the toes of the golden giant. He couldn't even look up. Luckily Yu Yang didn't know how to use this kind of special nomological powers. Otherwise, he would be able to trample Yen Zong and Yen Zun to death. Take a punch, return a sword. Ji Zun used her left hand to hug the unconscious Yu Yang. She stretched out her right hand and a colorful aurora appeared. The blood-winged angel magically transformed into a blood-red angel sword. With the sword in her hand, Ji Zun immediately exploded with an invincible aura, looking down on the world. Sword chi soared to the sky. Tsang Yen was completely speechless. Could it be that the soaring dragon continent's specialty was to produce such abnormal rancors? Why would he go to the death arena to provoke the people from the soaring dragon continent? Not only did he provoke Yu Yang, who possessed the nomological powers and was about to become the new prison emperor, he even provoked Ji Zun, who actually possessed a humanoid divine weapon. This kind of humanoid divine weapon was the ultimate dream of many heaven-ranked warriors. Forget about this, just the terrifying black dot and the light of destruction was enough to make people despair. What should he do in the future? Thinking of this, Tsang Yan's face was filled with tears. His future life was going to be a tragedy. Chapter 551 Ji Zun waved the blood-winged angel humanoid divine weapon and raised it up high. She slashed at the skinny figure that had just crawled out from the ground like a mud ghost. The power of this slash was enough to tear the heavens and split the earth. A 10-meter deep and 1,000-meter long crack silently appeared on the hard ground of the ancient battlefield ruins. It started in front of Ji Zun and went all the way to the back of the figure. The figure wanted to hide. But it was too late. Other than its power, the humanoid divine weapon also had a special, furious slash intent. It was as if time and space could be slashed apart. After Ji Zun waved her sword, the skinny figure realized that he was trapped in the body-securing pearl's force field. Just like before, the situation was reversed. He couldn't move at all and could only watch as the slash came down on his head. Yan Zong waved his flame palm and helped Yan Zun fly out. Yan Zun gave the skinny shadow a hand in a very loyal manner. The sword light flashed and 2 arms fell to the ground at the same time. One was the figure's arm and the other was Yan Zun's arm. Although the figure was saved by Yan Zun, both of them were heavily injured. They were almost cut into 4 pieces by the sword qi. Especially the figure, the sword qi had cut off his arm from his shoulder. Blood gushed out like a fountain. But this figure was very stubborn. He endured the pain and didn't make a sound. Yan Zun, who had the pure blue fire body, wouldn't feel any pain. As long as he picked up his arm, his body would recover. Because of this, he dared to save the figure himself. Ji Zun didn't attack again. But Yan Zun and the others knew. They had lost this battle. The reason was that they had underestimated the enemy's strength. If not for the ancient code that Yu Yang obtained from the Card of Fate, the figure's sneak attack using the body-securing pearl might have succeeded. As long as they killed Ji Zun, the Night Empress and the new prison emperor might die in the ancient battlefield ruins. Heaven Realm's crisis would be resolved once and for all. However, the sneak attack failed. Ji Zun could still move in the body-securing pearl's force field. And that despicable brat even had the ancient code. They were heavily injured by the ancient code. Even though they had the upper hand in terms of level, strength and timing, they had no choice but to retreat. Not only did the 2 women have the strength to fight, but they also possessed a humanoid weapon. 3 of them were heavily injured and their battle power was greatly reduced. Only the coward Song Yen was left and he was unable to accomplish anything. Just now, he did not even make a move to restrain the Night Empress in the Starry Sky domain and just stood there like an idiot. If his intelligence had been more accurate, things would not have turned out this way. Not only had he offended Queen Vivian Li, but he was also humiliated and defeated. It would be shameful to lose. If he returned and reported it, he would definitely be reprimanded. Not only could they not report this matter truthfully, they also had to seal Song Yan's mouth to prevent him from speaking out of his mouth, lest he bring disaster upon himself. Let's go. Today's humiliation will be repaid 100-fold another day. Yan Zong rushed over and grabbed Yan Zun and the shadow. They turned into a sea of fire and disappeared. Seeing the 3 of them run away, Song Yen was so scared that his body went limp. He quickly used his fastest speed to escape from the ancient battlefield ruins. If a sovereign gave him a blow, he did not have the confidence to take it head-on. Ji Zun let go of the giant humanoid divine weapon in her hands, allowing it to slowly return to its blood-winged angel form. She carried Yu Yang tiredly and nodded towards the Night Empress, whose body was slightly transparent. Luckily, it was only a heaven-ranked level 6 Heaven Realm ranker. If it was someone stronger, even with your help, we might not be able to take them down. The Night Empress asked with a little surprise, "What happened just now?" What she was asking was, of course, how did Ji Zun resonate with Yu Yang's power of the ancient code and the strange phenomenon of a golden female giant appearing. Ji Zun also did not understand. Instead, she said to the Night Empress, "If there's a chance, you should give it a try. Who knows, with your intelligence, you might be able to figure out what happened." When the Night Empress heard this, she laughed like a silver bell and returned to her invisible state. "Forget it, there are too many strange things happening to this brat. I don't understand it either. Anyway, it's a good thing, it's fine if I don't think about it." When Song Yen escaped to a sufficient distance, a burst of golden light rose from the altar on the battlefield. All the statues were enveloped in this golden light. The Heaven Realm interferers had already given up the battle and admitted defeat. According to the ancient code, Yu Yang and his teammates had obtained the final victory. Yu Yang had not woken up yet. He did not know what the ancient code's reward was. However, Ji Zun and the Night Empress saw that there was a strange light from the four-sided god's steel that quickly entered Yu Yang's sleeping body. That should be a treasure. As for what kind of treasure it was, Ji Zun and the Night Empress did not have the time to see it clearly. Ji Zun and the Night Empress bodies also flashed with a burst of light. Although the four-sided god's steel did not project any strange light, the war-sacred sacrifice still injected a pure energy into their bodies. Everyone had different rewards. Even the Southern Demon King, Elder Nangong, the Emperor of the Underworld, the giant Lowly and even the ancient warriors who were quietly waiting in Yu Yang's grimoire world were all bathed in the golden light. The ancient warriors' bodies were injected with the golden light and the black gas melted and dissipated. They cheered excitedly. After this battle, they could finally regain their freedom. The severe punishment that their ancestors had received could finally be released. The Southern Demon King had helped Yu Yang kill the ancient slaughterers and many amphibious fish demons. She was the one who guided Yu Yang into the death arena. After winning, she leveled up to innate level 10. Although she was still a distance away from Elder innate level, she was not worried anymore. This was because the battle in the death arena had shown her the truth of a higher realm. Elder Nangong had also leveled up. He was still a little bit away from Elder innate level. The Emperor of the Underworld and Elder Nangong were almost the same. Both of them were only a step away from Elder innate level. Reaching heaven rank was just around the corner. The giant Lowly seemed to have grown a little taller in the golden light. Of course, even if she grew taller, she still looked like a giant Lowly. The runes on the Titan armor on her body became more mysterious. The combination of patterns became more diverse. These were the rewards given to her by the ancient code. Hui Tailang, who had just returned to the grimoire world, roared towards the sky. Its grimoire automatically appeared and flipped its pages. Because it had assisted its master in defeating He Hu, a heaven rank level 5 expert, Hui Tailang received even more rewards. Other than leveling up, it also seemed to have obtained a new skill. However, it seemed that Hui Tailang wanted to give Yu Yang a surprise. It did not immediately show it to everyone. Instead, it pretended to be a loyal watchdog and guarded the sleeping Yu Yang in high spirits. Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying, Bloody Queen Red, Barbarian Cow Shadow and Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen had all leveled up. They either leveled up or leveled up. The spirit of Earth Fire that had swallowed the Twilight Flame had leveled up to the spirit of Heaven Fire. Leveling up, mutation and leveling up at the same time. The little lowly serpent demon Little One Li had received a great reward from the ancient code because of her outstanding performance in the battle. Her body grew a little more in the colorful light. Her level had risen from Diamond rank level 6 to Diamond rank level 7. From this level onwards, her strength had once again undergone a qualitative change and a leap. When Yu Yang woke up, he found himself lying on the legs of the Impatiens. The Southern Demon King and the Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying were sitting beside him and whispering to each other, as if they were careful not to wake him up. Even further away, Elder Nangong and the Emperor of the Underworld were playing chess while Hui Tailang was lying at the side, enjoying half a roasted abyss manatee. Over here, Ji Zun was sitting quietly while the invisible Night Empress was guiding Princess Sisai and Shui Wuxia to adapt to the new power rewarded by the ancient code. The giant Lowly was lying outside the house. She was as tall as a small mountain. More than 10 ancient warriors were leaning on her and chatting. Because they had defeated the enemy, the ancient code had lifted the punishment. They were laughing and talking happily. Everyone was waiting for Yu Yang. Because only he could use the 3-realm compass, if Yu Yang did not wake up, everyone would have to stay in the heaven realm and would not be able to return to the Tong Tian Tower. Did I sleep for a long time? Yu Yang turned over and sat up. The impatience wrapped her soft arms around his neck and kissed him passionately in front of the Southern Demon King. I slept for a whole day, but luckily, I'm not tired at all. Are we going back now? The Southern Demon King was actually a little reluctant to leave. What did going back mean? Farewell. Although she was a little jealous that Yu Yang was sleeping in Sky Law's arms, it was very warm in this grimoire world, and she was a little reluctant to leave. Although she knew that it was impossible, the Southern Demon King still hoped to stay here for a little longer. Here, although Sky Law was hostile towards her, the hostesses, Princess Sisai and Shui Wuxia, did not object. Even Jiang Ying, one of Yu Yang's women, welcomed her. When Princess Sisai saw that Yu Yang had woken up, she was so happy that she could not help but rush over. When Yu Yang opened his arms and was ready to welcome her into his embrace, however, Tigress rewarded him with a punch. You idiot, you ran to such a dangerous place and made me cry. Do you know that? Did you really cry? Yu Yang hugged his beloved Hunyo tightly, purposely teasing her. Your Highness, you didn't drown the soaring dragon continent with your tears, right? If that's the case, then it would be my fault. To express my apology, I sincerely give you a kiss. Who cares? If there were no outsiders around, Princess Sisai might have let him kiss her. However, with so many elders around, she was too embarrassed to do so. She forcefully broke free from Yu Yang and jumped away. She stayed a meter away from him, indicating that she wanted to keep her distance. Give your kiss to Wuxia. If she did not force me to come, I would not have come to such a dangerous place like the Death Arena and Heaven Realm to fight. This tigress is acting tsundere again. Shui Wuxia accepted Yu Yang's hug and kiss generously. Although there was no passionate kiss, Shui Wuxia's natural and unrestrained expression made Princess Sisai very angry. She felt that she was at a disadvantage. They were both fiancés. Why should she be the only one kissing? Princess Sisai pretended that she did not care, but in her heart, she really hoped that Yu Yang would hug her again. It would be best if he kissed her forcefully. Then, she would reluctantly let him kiss her. This way, she would be equal with Wuxia. Who would have thought that Yu Yang seemed to care about her feelings? He patted her shoulder and said, Tigress, I know that you are embarrassed to kiss me, so I will give you my longing kiss. Impatience suddenly rushed forward and hugged Yu Yang. She secretly kissed him with her cherry lips, and then smiled sweetly at the angry Princess Sisai. Give it to me. Princess Sisai was very angry. She really wanted to cut this big-breasted Sky Law with her sword. Wasn't it just that her breasts were a little bigger? She reached out and dragged Yu Yang into the house and pushed him down. She bit his lips fiercely. Who doesn't know how to kiss? She gave him a long kiss that could not be separated even if the sky fell and the earth split. Finally, with her red and swollen lips, she pulled Yu Yang, who was so happy that he was dizzy. She proudly said, Xiao San, tell them that you are my man. Everyone laughed when they heard this. Chapter 552. Before returning to Tong Tian Tower, Yu Yang snuck out and buried a non-attacking puppet in front of the four-sided divine steel. Leaving this puppet behind, Yu Yang could borrow it to use the three-realm compass at any time. Returning to Heaven Realm. Although Heaven Realm was far more dangerous than Tong Tian Tower, ascending to Heaven Realm was always the dream of all warriors in Tong Tian Tower. The gate to Heaven Realm was now closed. Without the three-realm compass, they would have to wait for another 100 years before it could be opened. Most importantly, inside the gate to Heaven Realm, there was no guarantee that there would be no Heaven Rankers guarding. With their bad attitude towards the warriors of Soaring Dragon Continent, it was very likely that they would ambush and kill them. Entering the gate to Heaven Realm was also extremely dangerous. It was very easy to die in the crack of time and space. After burying this puppet and using the three-realm compass, Yu Yang could bring everyone up to Heaven Realm at any time. He didn't even need to rely on the legendary shortcut in the Heaven Stairway. Was there really a shortcut in the heaven stairway to heaven realm? That was actually unknown. Maybe only by finding the pitiful guy's mother could this mystery be solved. Regarding Yu Yang's action of leaving behind a puppet, not only the emperor of the underworld, who longed to ascend to heaven realm, even Elder Nan Gong, Night Empress and Ji Zun, who were willing to stay in Tong Tian Tower forever, expressed their approval. In Tong Tian Tower, there were many rankers, such as Dragon Emperor, Sky Execution, Baruth, and so on. They were all very eager to enter heaven realm. With their strength, they rarely met any enemies in Tong Tian Tower, and their cultivation progress was very slow. If there was hope to enter heaven realm, it was believed that they would abandon all kinds of grudges in Tong Tian Tower. This was not only a kind of progress for them personally, it was also a kind of release of pressure for all the warriors in Tong Tian Tower. Without the suppression of supreme innates, more outstanding young people would emerge in Tong Tian Tower. You guys really won't stay? Yu Yang thought that Ji Zun and Night Empress would stay in heaven realm to travel and increase their knowledge. Even if they couldn't fight against the Central Palace, with Ji Zun and Night Empress strength, it would be easy for them to train in heaven realm. The heaven-ranked level 3 Huang Quan was famous in the heaven realm. The strength of Ji Zun was many times stronger than Huang Quan. Of course, there was no problem for her to train in the heaven realm. However, what puzzled Yu Yang was that Ji Zun and Night Empress did not choose to stay in the heaven realm, but followed him back to Tong Tian Tower. Ji Zun's attitude was to go back and continue to cultivate. Moreover, she believed that training in the heaven realm was not necessarily better than training in Tong Tian Tower. At the same time, she focused on how to break through the gods' ruins. In her heart, the gods' ruins was a higher pursuit. Training in the heavenly realm? As long as they had enough strength, they could kill at any time. Therefore, Ji Zun didn't want to stay in the heaven realm. Night Empress also decided to go back. She decided to train Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai and City Lord Fallen Flowers, so that the younger generation could improve faster. With Night Empress guidance, he believed that Shui Wuxia and the others would continue to advance by leaps and bounds. Yu Yang welcomed it the most. Needless to say, Elder Nan Gong definitely had to go back, because if the innate alliance didn't have him to take charge, it would probably cause a big mess. Emperor of the Underworld didn't stay either. He wanted to stay in heaven realm the most, but with Emperor of the Underworld's current strength, he felt that he didn't have enough ability to protect himself, so he decided to return to Tong Tian Tower to continue cultivating and improving. In any case, Yu Yang had the 3-realm compass. In the future, he could hitch a ride with him and go to heaven realm together. It was completely different from taking the risk of staying in heaven realm alone and without help. We are already homeless, so please take us in. The cute dog Beauty wagged her tail and pretended to be pitiful. She was the smallest and cutest among the many ancient female warriors. She was so cute that she could kill all the weird uncles in an instant. Heba heba. Giant Loli didn't speak and chewed on the meat in big mouthfuls. Her mouth was not empty at all. Now, even if Yu Yang chased her away, she wouldn't leave. Yu Yang had endless food and brothers and sisters who loved her. Giant Loli wasn't afraid of anything, but she was afraid of being hungry and no one to love her. Of course, even if Yu Yang had the guts, he wouldn't dare to say no to Giant Loli. If he said that he didn't want her anymore, Giant Loli's tears would drown the entire Space Codex. Besides, raising a Loli was also very loving. Although this Loli's body was a little bigger, as long as Qilin Girl Bingyin's mini shrinking magic improved a little, there was still hope for Giant Loli to become a normal Loli. Anyway, there were many Loli in the family. Raising one more wouldn't make a difference. Wasn't it just a little better appetite? How could such a big, soaring dragon continent not be able to raise such an ancient female titan? Using the 3-realm compass, Yu Yang returned to the Crystal Plaza of the Death Arena. At this time, the entire Crystal Plaza had changed. The original water passage had disappeared, and the rising crystal wall had sunk back into the ground. Other than the open spiral crystal passage, everything was restored to its original state, just like when Yu Yang and the Southern Demon King were searching for treasures. Third young master, we will meet again. Emperor of the Underworld thanked Ji Zun and Night Empress, then bid farewell to Yu Yang. The Death Arena and the trip to Heaven Realm was one of the honors of life for Emperor of the Underworld. Although he wasn't the one who turned the situation around, he still participated in it. Compared to the Sky Emperor who died tragically, Emperor of the Underworld felt that he was blessed with good luck. It could be seen how important it was to stand on the right side. If he didn't join forces with Yu Yang and became his enemy, Emperor of the Underworld felt that he might have become a food in the stomach of the ancient slaughterer. Sky Emperor's strength was similar to Emperor of the Underworld. Each had their own strength. Because he stood on the wrong side, he died without a burial in the Death Arena. Not only was his storage ring picked up by Yu Yang, even his corpse became fertilizer for the Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen. I will also return to the Innate Alliance to take a look. Elder Nangong was worried that someone in Tong Tian Tower would take the opportunity to cause trouble, especially Shun Tian, the Black Prince, the Thousand Goblins sect leader and the others. If Elder Nangong wasn't in Tong Tian Tower, they might come up with some schemes. Hence, he had to hurry back to take a look. As for Yu Yang, he didn't leave the Crystal Plaza immediately. He still hoped to enter the spiral passage to search for treasures. If it was other treasures, Yu Yang naturally wouldn't care. It was just that from the little beauty of the Dog Clan and the other ancient female warriors, he found out that at the bottom of the spiral crystal passage, there was a teleportation circle that could directly teleport him to the ancient clan's palace. In there were countless books left behind from ancient times. Books? Alright, I like to read books. Yu Yang was interested in all kinds of knowledge, especially the history of the past and new runes. The ancient clan's palace was divided into 3 levels: high, middle, and beginner. The little beauty of the Dog Clan and the others were only talking about the first level. In other words, it was the beginner level. In the beginner level, there were thousands of ancient books, written in different languages. They seemed to be the history of different periods. This made Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia, who loved to read, feel that this trip was a great harvest. As for the second level's intermediate level, and the third level's advanced levels palace, it seemed that they still needed to trigger some special conditions to open them. Yu Yang didn't have time to study them carefully. In the end, he decided to return to the Soaring Dragon continent to rest for a while. Anyway, this ancient clan's palace had restrictions. Only the ancient warriors and him, the chosen one who had broken the seal, had the right to enter. Ji Zun and Night Empress borrowed 100 books each to study, hoping to sort out the truth of history as soon as possible. Southern Demon King was too embarrassed to stay in Yu Yang's grimoire world any longer. She was a little reluctant to leave. However, for the sake of her face, she pretended to be at ease. She bid farewell to Yu Yang. I don't understand these books at all. Moreover, I picked up the Angel's Gem Holy Sword and already have treasures as spoils of war. So forget about these ancient books, I get a headache every time I read them. Southern Demon King knew that no matter how much she read, she couldn't compare to Shui Wuxia. Moreover, these books were indeed useless to her. She looked at the hornless dragon Jiangying and smiled mischievously. I really like Sister Jiangying. If I have time, I will come and visit her. You won't be unhappy with my intrusion, right? Of course you are welcome. My Xiao San loves to entertain guests the most, especially beauties. Impatience declared that Yu Yang was her family. Southern Demon King indicated that she didn't have the final say and wanted Yu Yang to confirm it. Let's not talk about visiting Jiangying. Even if you want to stay here for a long time, I will provide food and shelter. Yu Yang looked like a wolf that would eat a lamb that was sent to his doorstep. His words were a little impatient and made Southern Demon King happy. However, she immediately blushed and pretended that she didn't hear anything. She bid farewell to Xue Wuxia and Princess Sisai. Where did this girl come from? Princess Sisai suspected that Southern Demon King's background was not small. No matter how big her background is, she is just a loser. Sooner or later, she will marry over with all her savings. I didn't say anything. Don't be angry, my lowly concubine will warm the bed tonight. Impatience yawned lazily. She decided to go back and get some sleep first. She reckoned that there might really be a big fight if she slept. City Mistress Fallen Flowers and Sickly Beauty had not seen each other for a long time. They would definitely not be able to hold it in. As for the hornless dragon Jiang Ying and the soft-hearted Princess Sisai, whether or not Yu Yang could take them down depended on whether he could grasp the opportunity. In comparison, the hornless dragon Jiang Ying was more likely. She was completely defenseless against him. It was a negative defense type. As for Princess Sisai's tigress, it would probably take some brute force to push her down. If Xue Wuxia did not interfere, the success rate would only be about 50%. When Yu Yang returned to the soaring dragon continent, he realized that countless people were waiting outside the Tong Tian Tower. Elder Nangong had returned to the innate alliance in Tong Tian Tower and had already spread the news of him to the entire Tong Tian Tower. Participating in the ancient war that happened 10,000 years ago, defeating the Heaven Realm rankers in the death arena, killing the ancient slaughterers as if they were nothing. He even killed his way to the Heaven Realm, killing the Heaven Realm's Central Palace's water elder He Hu and capturing He Hu's abyss manatee as a slave. Any kind of honor was unimaginable to the world. Now Yu Clan's third young master had achieved all of them. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, how could they not be shocked by his miraculous battle? How could the people of the soaring dragon continent not be proud of such a powerful young man? Not only the warriors of the soaring dragon continent, even the Dragon Emperor, one of the 5 emperors of the Tong Tian Tower, Sky Execution of the Demonic Palace, Great Demon King Baruth of the Demon Abyss, and other rankers from different forces and even enemies had sent special envoys to the soaring dragon continent to welcome Yu Yang's return. Standing at the front of the crowd was the Dixia Emperor Jun Wuyu, Elder Yu Hai and the old fox who could not stop smiling. Chapter 553. Jun Wuyu and Elder Yu Hai knew that Yu Yang was very capable. What he did in the past, such as defeating strong enemies, saving his family, charging into the demon palace, killing enemies from thousands of miles away, killing the Ocean Emperor, breaking into the Black Hell Army's base, etc. None of these were things that people of his age could do. Almost everything he did was a miracle that could be recorded in history and become a legend. They knew that this young man's future was limitless. They also knew that Tong Tian Tower would not be his limit. Sooner or later, Heaven Realm would be his training ground. However, even if Jun Wuyu, Elder Yu Hai and the others were mentally prepared, they would never have thought that what Yu Yang did this time would be so shocking. If Elder Nangong did not personally announce the news, they would not dare to believe it. They knew about the news of the death arena. They also knew about the process of Ji Zun and Night Empress going to rescue them. 3 days later, Elder Nangong suddenly returned. He brought back a piece of news that was enough to make Tong Tian Tower tremble. As the team leader of Tong Tian Tower in the Western Heaven Realm, Yu Yang from the Dixia Kingdom of the Soaring Dragon Continent, he led his teammates and successfully defeated all the strong enemies. He obtained the ultimate glory of a battle that happened once every 10,000 years, and won the ancient war between the 4 god realms in the lower realm. If anyone dared to doubt it, they could look at Yu Yang's teammate. One of the 5 emperors, Sky Emperor, Emperor of the Underworld, Innate Alliance's Chief Director Nangong Luoyun, Eastern Goblin Tribe's Southern Demon King, Black Hell King who had been revived for 6,000 years and his 2 subordinates, War Tiger of the East and Fierce Tooth of the North, as well as demonic palaces number 3, Sky Law, and Ji Zun and Night Empress who joined later. No one in the world could imagine how this team was formed, nor could they imagine why these people were led by Yu Clan's third young master. Of course, the most unimaginable battle process was. According to the information released by Elder Nangong, the enemy was unimaginably strong. Let's not talk about the monsters in Heaven Realm, let's look at the Yu Clan third young master's team and his competitors. The Black Hell King was his mortal enemy, while the Sky Emperor was his sworn brother. Not only did their existence not increase their battle power, it was also the biggest loss. In fact, according to the information released by Elder Nangong, the Black Hell King and the Sky Emperor had chosen to surrender in front of the terrifying monsters and heaven-ranked rankers from the Heaven Realm. Under such circumstances, how did Yu Yang lead his teammates to defeat the Heaven Realm rankers and monsters and obtain victory in the end? No one could imagine it. Of course, if they could imagine it, they could become the Yu Clan's third young master. How did Yu Clan's third young master defeat Heaven-ranked Level 3 Huang Quan, Heaven-ranked Level 2 Peak Fun Tian, Yun Xing and other competitors? How did he defeat the Heaven-ranked Level 5 Tsang Yen? How did he kill the 4 Heaven Generals under Tsang Yen? How did he kill the ancient Slaughterer Beast King and the Abyss Manatee? Elder Nangong did not explain the process. However, his words could not be doubted. Elder Nangong solemnly explained to the world that Yu Clan's third young master had already made a decision. He would tame the Abyss Manatee and the ancient Slaughterer. He would even capture more Heaven Realm monsters and turn them into the soaring dragon continent's eternal slave beasts for the world to admire and for the future generations to strive for. In other words, people would be able to see the powerful creatures of the Heaven Realm appearing as slave beasts in the soaring dragon continent in the future. All of this was because a man was born in the soaring dragon continent. A man named Yu Yang. Yu Clan's third young master. His glorious achievements are just the beginning. Let us wait and see. It won't be long before he becomes the prison emperor from 6,000 years ago who could fight against the Heaven Realm's 3 great leaders, or even surpass him. Tong Tian Tower? It's just a ladder for him to conquer the Heaven Realm. What we can do is to pay attention and follow his footsteps with our eyes. We will witness more of his legends. All the youngsters, follow in Yu Clan's third young master's footsteps and conquer the Heaven Realm. Tong Tian Tower is not your limit, the Heaven Realm is your battlefield. In order to revive Tong Tian Tower and encourage the growth of the younger generation, Elder Nangong pushed Yu Yang out as a role model, allowing Yu Yang to slowly evolve into the new prison emperor. Tong Tian Tower needed an invincible prison emperor. No matter if it was 6,000 years ago, or today. Only this way, Tong Tian Tower, which had fallen behind for at least 6,000 years, could give birth to more outstanding younger generations and inject more new blood into it. Elder Nangong did not do this. The matter of the death arena could not be hidden for long. This was because the Black Hell King had not died. He had escaped back. If not for the Dragon Emperor, Sky Execution and the great demon King Baruth's appearance, defeating him and foiling the Black Hell Army's plan to destroy the soaring dragon continent, the consequences would have been unimaginable. When Elder Nangong returned to the Innate Alliance and heard the news, he immediately made a decision. He immediately spread the news of Yu Yang's achievements to the entire Tong Tian Tower. Hence, all the warriors in Tong Tian Tower immediately received the shocking news of Yu Yang winning the ancient war in Heaven Realm after receiving the news of the Black Hell King's battle against the Dragon Emperor and Sky Execution. The Black Hell King that everyone thought was invincible was only a cunning traitor when they compared him to the Black Hell King. Almost overnight, the negative influence brought by the Black Hell King disappeared without a trace. With Yu Yang, the unprecedented Yu Clan's third young master, there was nothing to fear about the Black Hell King. The Black Hell King was only a traitor. Now that the Yu clan's third young master had returned from Heaven Realm and the Abyss Manatees that he captured were close to the Black Hell King's strength, would the soaring dragon continent be destroyed by the Black Hell army? This was only the Black Hell King's wishful thinking. How could the Black Hell army compare to the Heaven Realm's ancient slaughterers? Those monsters were all heaven-ranked and were existences that the warriors of Tong Tian Tower could not even look up to. However, the Yu clan's third young master could massacre them in large numbers. The Black Hell army that made people pale at the mention of it was like a chicken or a stray dog in front of the Yu clan's third young master, unable to withstand a single blow. The soldiers who were originally worried that they would be destroyed by the Black Hell army suddenly erupted with the most fanatical morale. They suddenly wished that they could go into battle and prove themselves to the world. Anyway, with Yu Yang around, they would never have to worry about losing. How could they not fight a sure-win battle? Greetings, third young master. Countless warriors who had been suppressing their emotions couldn't help but kneel on the ground when they saw Yu Yang return. They couldn't help but use their voices to express the excitement in their hearts. Even if they had never seen Yu Yang before, even if they were enemies with him before this, they would not be able to help him. Everything couldn't resist the fanaticism that burst forth from the bottom of their hearts, the natural worship towards the strong. Yu Yang greets His Majesty, Grandpa and Teacher. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you in the death arena and returned victorious. In front of so many people, Yu Yang naturally gave face to Jun Wu Yu, Elder Yu Hai and the Old Cunning Fox. He cupped his hands and greeted the three of them in front of hundreds of thousands of warriors. Good, good. Elder Yu Hai's eyes were filled with tears. He was so excited that his whole body was trembling. Even with his steel-like willpower, he couldn't resist the pride and arrogance in his heart. He is my student, my student. The Old Cunning Fox acted as if no one knew, his voice trembling as he repeated. Army, people, salute! Jun Wu Yu used all the strength he had in his life to shout, his voice resounding through the clouds. Feng Kuang, who was behind him, immediately pulled out his giant sword and commanded the army to salute the returning Yu Yang at the same time. Regardless of whether it was the soldiers or civilians, they all shouted in unison. Their voices were like thunder that could drown the earth, shaking the entire Tong Tian Tower. From the orderly shouting to the uncontrollable cheers, everyone fell into a state of celebration. Eastern Sky King, Feng Xiaoyun, Shuewen Dao, Fatty Hai, Yi Kong and the Li brothers were preparing to forcefully lift up Yu Yang and throw him into the air to celebrate. Yu Yang raised his hand to stop them. He looked at a person. When Yu Yang looked at this person, everyone around him knowingly retreated, creating a path for him. That person was a beautiful woman with tears in her eyes, biting her red lips as she bitterly endured the excitement in her heart. She was Fourth Mother. Yu Yang walked towards her step by step. With every step he took, everyone's heart seemed to tremble a little, as if his powerful footsteps were stepping on their hearts. Fourth Mother helplessly held onto Yu Shuang, who was crying her heart out. If it wasn't for Yu Bing, who was crying like a fountain, supporting her, she might have already collapsed to the ground because she was too emotional. Under everyone's gazes, Yu Yang slowly walked in front of Fourth Mother. Yu Yang, who had never bowed to anyone before, was like a junior returning home to greet his elders. He knelt down on one knee, kneeling in front of her. Then, with a voice that could shake the whole world, he shouted from the depths of his soul, "Fourth Mother, San is back." Fourth Mother's body shook and she almost fell. Her tears fell like pearls from a broken necklace. She let out an unbearable sob from her throat. She rushed forward and hugged Yu Yang's head, hugging him tightly in her embrace. Her tears flowed down like raindrops. Along with her suppressed sobs, everyone present was moved, and there was no one who did not shed tears. Yu Bing and Yu Shuang rushed over and hugged their mother and brother, crying as loudly as they could. They were happy, but they could not express it with laughter. Only tears could express the longing in their hearts. Yikong knelt down with a thud. Then Fatty Hai Li brothers, Shui Tan Lang and Prince of Tian Luo Bao Air, Lu Yi, Haiying Wu, the half-elf girl, Oxhead Fan Luan Tai, the 4 orc girls and many more juniors all knelt down and paid their respects to Fourth Mother. Although Fourth Mother was not everyone's biological mother, she was more important than the juniors' mother. Without her, there would not be Yu Yang. Without Yu Clan's third young master, there would not be today's Yikong, Fatty Hai and Shui Tan Lang. It was this gentle and kind beautiful woman who raised the most useless Yu Clan's third young master. It was because of her that the soaring dragon continent had a hero that everyone could be proud of. All the soldiers and warriors, in tears, silently and spontaneously, raised their right hands and paid their respects to this great and beautiful woman. In the soaring dragon continent where strength was respected and men were respected, this was the first time in history. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.